Hello, everyone, and thank you for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Blake. We have an awesome show for you today. We'll be talking about all the news from this week, and we'll be covering all that went down on Raw, Smackdown, Impact, Dynamite, and NXT.
Yeah, a lot of good wrestling this week. But before we get going, we posted on our Twitter back a few days ago a few links and that for everybody to check out, and mentioning we had some big announcements coming up, which we are finally going to be able to talk about here. So before we get going on any of the news and whatnot, first off, as we posted on our Twitter, we have two new pages that you can go to for us. The first is Buy Me a Coffee. It's basically, if you've heard of Patreon, it's basically a donation site where you can help support us, help us continue to create content and stuff like that. So you can donate a small amount of money if you enjoy what you're seeing, or you can also subscribe to a membership, which will in a little while include access to our Discord, as well as exclusive watch-alongs to shows and pay-per-views and stuff like that. So that is through our Buy Me a Coffee, as well as we have a Redbubble page. Currently, we have our logo up, which is it's on, I believe it's on phones, mugs, uh, phone cases,
Uh,
like phone
I like
cases.
drawstring bags, stuff like that.
So more designs will be coming for that over time. But those are two new sites that you can go to support us if you're enjoying the content, as well as some big announcements. Obviously, if you're watching us live, you're watching us on our Twitch channel, Walking the Ropes. Make sure you follow and you get notifications for when we go live. Our schedule is actually switching up this week and going forward. We actually will be doing multiple streams through the week. Um, so that way we're not covering the full week just on Sunday in a 3-hour podcast. So first off, we will be going live on Tuesdays covering Monday Night Raw and the recent news there. We will be live on Thursdays covering Impact, NXT, and Dynamite, and then Saturdays to cover Smackdown. As well as next Sunday, we will be live discussing the Royal Rumble and stuff related to that. So the schedule is switching up, and along with that, not only are we live on Twitch, and you can catch our VODs for basically any stream that we ever do on our YouTube, but these podcasts will also, as of this moment, currently, are available for you to listen to through the podcasting sites Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. We are currently awaiting approval and posting through Castbox, Overcast, and Apple Podcasts. Those will be to you within the next week or two, but currently we are available on the sites I just mentioned. We will be updating our link tree after this podcast to have all those links in there so you can find your way to whichever platform you like to listen to your podcast through. But other than that, I think that's about it for those announcements. I don't think I
Yeah.
missed anything, Blake. Anything?
No, I think you covered it all really well there.
So, I guess we'll get right into the cast here with our recent news. I've got a handful of things here.
Yeah,
Obviously, I figured you did.
I have some good ones and some kind of funny ones too. So
Well, there was a fair bit of news this week. One of the first things I saw earlier this past week was Tony Khan was on Renee Paquette, formerly Renee Young in WWE,
yep.
her podcast Oral Sessions, and was asked about the All Elite Wrestling and Impact deal that we have been seeing over the course of the past, well, just over a month, I guess, month and a half or so.
It was sometime in December, right
December
as Kenny
2nd, I
won the
think.
title.
December
Right as
2nd, I
Kenny won the
think,
title,
was
yeah.
Winter is Coming. So, but he was asked who was responsible for it, and Tony Khan very bluntly said Kenny was fully responsible for the whole deal, all the crossover and that, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
So, like it's really neat to know that because I know a lot of people think like Tony Khan just kind of sits there and signs off on the checks, and I've read after some of the podcasts and that he's done that people are like he kind of sounds like a dick. in the sense of like a lot of people are used to hearing stuff related to like Vince McMahon. And
Right.
like he
Yeah.
sits there and he's the final say in that, and like ripping up scripts a half hour before a live show or shit like that. And Tony Khan's made the comment a few times of like, I have the final say. And people just automatically assume that
Yeah.
it's a Vince McMahon situation.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be the case at all in AEW. It's very much they like I don't know if they would have basically a round table discussion sort of thing or what, or if people just come to him with ideas. Whatever it is working because Dynamite, I've yet to hate a show they've put out.
Yeah, even during the pandemic sessions, there basically is what you can call them,
Exactly.
the Atlanta sessions. Like even if the shows as a whole, because I mean it was a lot of local talent or indie talent, and it was the same guys for what 4 or 5 weeks there. But
Yeah.
even with it, they managed to produce and like follow a some kind of a storyline per segment. I
Yeah.
mean, we got like Brody Lee and Marco Stunt out of it, which a lot of people overlook. But like that was like 3 weeks worth of actual good content between Brody Lee and Marco Stunt.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it gave Marco, like Marco was there, people knew Marco could do stuff. But I think that was really the pushing off platform that Marco needed to be
Yeah.
like, I'm not just like the other guy in Jurassic Express. Like you got Jungle Boy, really talented. You got Luchasaurus, big dude, ultra talented as well. I'm not just that other guy.
Exactly. He's very much come into his own, especially since those matches.
No, very
Uh,
much. Yeah.
and you can tell that a lot of that was help from Brody Lee wanting probably to work with Marco because they don't tell wrestlers or they don't like give wrestlers the option to work with somebody. Like they'll be able to tell them no if they don't want to work with somebody is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like and Brody very much wanted to work with Marco. You could
Well,
tell.
I mean, we've discussed it previously on the podcast and that, and not to sit on it for too long, but yeah, I mean
No,
Brody was very much so about like seeing potential in people
exactly.
and letting them live up to it. So I
Hmm.
mean, it worked out really well because I mean, we'll be running through the results, but we got a bit of honestly, every time you see Marco kind of put into a prominent position, I honestly think it has a lot to do with what Brody did for him on those segments.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
Made
anyways,
him a
back.
more well-rounded wrestler.
Oh, very much so. But back to what we were saying. Yeah, Kenny responsible for that AEW Impact deal. So
Yeah.
it's really nice that that Tony Khan, even though he does get that final say on things, uh, very much just heard it out and was and knew that it was going to be better for the business because there's a lot of these companies and obviously like the giant there, WWE, let's not shy away from it, who, even though we've had the comments from people like Triple H about we're open for business and that, it's still very much so like a lot of these smaller companies will acknowledge pro wrestling as a whole now. Like AEW is very open about like New Japan, Impact, Ring of Honor, like even before this deal. And some of these other companies are too, but there's been a big time in pro wrestling where it was very much so like, if you're watching us, we're the only entity of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Like in WWE, anything that happens outside of those walls isn't ever acknowledged.
Pretty
Like
much. Yeah.
if it is, it's very rarely, or it's a side note. That's like the what are they called now? Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. It has been
Yeah.
mentioned in the past that they were IWGP IW IWGP, holy crap, killed tag team champs. But it was such
Yeah.
like a quick side note on commentary.
And I think they even mentioned that Styles won the IWGP World Heavyweight title. But other than
It's such
that,
a quick side note on commentary. Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, they did this, but then
But they
it's like
always
that
say
promotion
what the
doesn't exist.
title. Yeah, they never say the promotion. They always say the title because New Japan is very specific. It's the IWGP titles in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I'll be honest, I think that's the only ones that I ever hear of because of the fact of they have a different branding to the company that they're
Yeah,
for. They're IWGP titles for New Japan Pro Wrestling or NJPW. So
exactly.
there's enough of a difference there um that they can get away with it
Yeah,
and still not completely acknowledge that there's stuff that happens outside of their walls. But that's what's really
yeah,
nice about this. And I mean, it was mentioned on Impact by Matt Stryker and D'Lo and that about like we're very like they said it basically how I'm saying it here, where we're all in our own little bubble, but
yeah,
sometimes we branch out and we acknowledge there is more than just us.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so that was really cool. So,
Yeah.
anyways, what you got up there for news?
Well, Mark Henry and
Oh
Ryback
God,
exchanged their war of words there,
I didn't
and it
see the feed of it. I've just seen the articles, and I skipped over them because I'm like, Ryback just tries to honestly start shit with everybody lately.
and that was basically all it seemed to be to me. Like, Ryback basically said Mark was just a nobody and wouldn't push anybody, pretty much. And then Mark went on to say that he's the reason that we had Dr. Thugonomics Cena. He went to Vince because they were on the road together, and Cena would rap, and he went to Vince and told him that they need to put that on TV.
Sure,
So,
yeah. I
like, I
mean,
had no idea that was a thing.
To say Mark Henry didn't do anything for the business, like
And
that's
I mean, that's kind of my rough, like, summary of what I got from what was said. If Ryback didn't mean it that way, that's how I got it. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you followed up with anything that Ryback's done over the past few years since leaving WWE, he just tries to start shit a lot.
mhm. Well, I think
It's
he's a vegan now too, which is one of those things that he has to mention all the time. I've noticed whenever he does his feast things, it's like I got the vegan this, I got the vegan that.
it's
Like,
very much like Austin Aries. Austin Aries, I
yeah,
find, does that a lot. It's like it's one of those things, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm like, good for you. You're vegan. Congratulations.
exactly.
Leave it there. Like, this person eats meat. This person's a vegetarian. This person's a vegan.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So, I mean,
But
if you're promoting your products, because I know he has like a line of products and that, if that's what he's doing, fine. Because I mean, that's something you do promote. Like that, this is like a vegan thing, but
yeah,
eh, eh.
but yeah, he'll just be eating his salad and he'll be like, "This is 100% vegan, by the way," and it's like, okay, cool, go ahead, eat.
Okay, I don't have much for that, but um, my next bit on here, which will tie into results here in a bit, um, but I figured it's worth noting because it's a big thing. It was announced by AEW back, I want to say a day or two ago, that at their pay-per-view Revolution, in late February, we will be seeing the Icon Sting in action for the first time. Now granted, it's a street fight. It's going to be Darby Allin and Sting versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, I believe, in a street fight.
Yeah,
Which I would assume they're going to do it very similar to Proud and Powerful and Best Friends, kind of like backlot and whatnot, and it'll probably be uh pre-filmed.
yeah, I think that would be the safest bet to go.
Because I mean, Sting in his AEW Unrestricted podcast basically said he would be doing cinematic stuff.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there will be physicality in that. It's just a matter of I don't think we're going to see it in the ring and live.
No, I don't think
Just
so at
due to the
all.
danger of it. I mean,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of danger there. There is.
yeah, if we want to see Sting in a match, we're not going to see Sting from his heyday where he can do what he can do. We're going to get what we got with Undertaker in the Boneyard match.
Boneyard match, which I mean, the thing is, ended up being one of the best matches of the year, and
Yeah,
it was a
well, I mean,
cinematic style match.
2020 was a kind of not big year for 5 7-star matches sort of thing.
But like that match, I can look back and be like, it like the Boneyard was a really decent match. And I mean,
Yeah,
Taker's gone on to say it was one of his favorites to do for a guy that wrestled for 30 years as that character and had some of the best matches inside a ring. For him to
yeah,
go on and be like, this match that we shot for 7 hours in a fake graveyard is one of my favorites, like that's saying something.
it really is, and I think that's really, really cool.
So, but I mean, even if it is a pre-taped cinematic style, the thing is, we're getting to see Sting in a match of some sort. Like that's exciting.
Yeah.
So,
So my next one, I'm gonna kind of do two here because the first one's a total joke. The Good Brothers announced their entry into the Royal Rumble.
oh my God, I saw that. That was fantastic.
I loved it because that is just what WWE has been doing. They people come out and they'll be like, "I'm gonna be in the Royal Rumble," and then two or three people will be Adam Pearce will come up and go, "No, you're not."
Did you
Like,
see Adam Pearce tweeted about that and actually explained it?
I didn't. No, I didn't
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, he made a tweet basically saying like certain people like are considered by management qualified enough to enter themselves while other people aren't
So
and
what's
have to
Mandy's
qualify.
qualification versus Drew's?
I do not know, but it was basically him being like, I'm just following management's rules, like that is
I'm not
management's
mad at
rules.
Adam Pearce. He's just the devil's advocate in this case.
So
Like,
I mean, it's nice that they at least were like, here is an explanation, but it doesn't
yeah,
help that it's like the worst explanation they could have given. Oh, just some people are better.
yeah. But in all seriousness, AEW announced the Series 4 for the Unrivaled series
Yep.
with Proud and Powerful, Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega. Kenny's is probably going to be the world title one. Cody's will probably maybe be the TNT title.
I wouldn't doubt it. They also announced a new series. I don't know if you saw that.
Other than Series 4? I didn't see that.
No, like they have Unrivaled, but they're gonna have, I'm not sure what it was called, but it's like how WWE has like the Elite and then the Standards and then stuff like that. They're gonna
Okay.
have the Unrivaled series as well as a new series of
So the
figures.
Unrivaled is going to be the Elite series, basically.
It hasn't been, because that was a lot of talk, was is it gonna be like the Unrivaled is the Elite with all the like the points of articulation and shit, and then this new series is going to be like the standard figures. There was nothing said
Okay.
as to whether or not that was the case, um but they did announce the new line of figures, which I'm just quickly trying to find
Yeah,
the
I didn't
name of.
see that one. So,
AEW, AEW, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So that was part of the announcement, was that there was a new line, basically so they could release more figures, was the point of it. Because they're trying to keep the Unrivaled in like a certain order, I guess.
did they confirm in any way what the next series is? Like, if it's action figures or what?
It's figures. It's figures.
But,
Um
like, did they say, like, movable figures or, like,
from my knowledge it will be. Like it like I said,
okay.
it's supposed to be a matter of this way they can release more, because I believe the Unrivaled, because if you look at series 1, it was Double or Nothing. That
Yeah.
was what series 1 of Unrivaled was centered around. Series 2, I don't remember exactly what it was, but series 2 was centered around a specific time point.
Well, I think that was the Razor Kenny gear, wasn't it?
Uh Kenny was in series 1, or was a part of the his Razor gear, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was the if you bought the ring,
Oh,
the
okay.
playset ring. Um and it was the same exact Kenny, just different gear. That
Yeah,
was the
and I
only
think they changed the
difference.
color of the hair a little bit too to match his hair a bit better.
Something like that. But so from the looks of it, Unrivaled is just gonna follow along with like a timeline of events or something like that.
Okay, because
Um
I was
s-
almost wondering if this next set was going to be Funko Pops.
I highly like the name they gave off, it wouldn't be. I'm sure they'd announce straight up that it was Funko
Okay.
Pops. Um and it was the guy who is like the main head of Jazzwares or whatever it's called that produces
Okay.
the
Yeah, for
figures.
sure.
So it wouldn't be Funko Pops. That would
Well, I
be
I wasn't sure what was confirmed or what, so that's why I was just throwing that out there.
yeah. So but
But
it's supposed
yeah.
to be another set of figures.
Okay.
Just so they can basically, because Unrivaled's supposed to come out, I believe it's every quarter. Every quarter they have a new set of Unrivaled.
So similar to their pay-per-views
Yeah.
kind
Um
of thing.
and so this way this other set allows them to release more people more periodically.
So they'll
Um
basically be able to have like their generic attires instead of the
Pretty well.
pay-per-view specific ones.
Yeah, from the sounds of it. And it would be great if we could start seeing some of these AEW Unrivaled figures in Canada, because I don't know about you, but I have not seen a single one.
I haven't seen a single one at all.
And I mean, the thing is like there's Ringside Collectibles, but I mean, the shipping up here in Canada from Ringside Collectibles is horrific. And the worst part is literally we're talking about the new series of Unrivaled, um which it was, what did you say, series 4?
Series 4, yeah.
So series 3, which is still currently on pre-order, they're not officially released until March or April. Literally the only one you can purchase from Ringside Collectibles as of yesterday, for me checking, the only one still available is Orange Cassidy.
That's that
Darby Allin, Pac, all the others from the series are not available for pre-order.
sold out or
I don't know. They haven't had any series 1 up for a long time. I don't know if Jazzwares has just stopped producing it. Series 2 was gone almost the day it was put up for pre-orders. Like,
that's
it's,
yeah. No, they need to work on that a little bit, but
well, I know they were opening, Jazzwares was opening a second factory for production of the AEW line.
okay.
So,
So maybe that's gotten scaled back because of COVID and stuff like that.
that's what I would probably guess. I just hope that going forward, because I mean, I know a lot of people had a really hard time finding series 1. And I mean, series 1, you're talking a full series that I mean, I would pick up in a heartbeat.
Oh, I think people were spending hundreds of dollars on one just because they'd be on eBay up for
On
that
eBay,
much.
yeah. Yeah, I was seeing because Kenny was the big one I want. I'm a very big Kenny Omega fan, as you know.
Hmm.
For those listening, I met Kenny so obviously not like this past fall in 2020, but the fall of 2019, I actually met him in person at a
Yeah, and they're best
Comic-Con.
friends now.
Yeah, we're best friends now. We I bought a VIP
He
package.
hates to mention that he's met Kenny. He hates to mention it. You'll probably never hear him mention it again.
Yeah, it's a running joke that he's now my best friend. But yeah, he was at a local convention, London Comic-Con, and
Yeah,
I got
which was
VIP
awesome.
tickets.
I never would happen. Like,
I got VIP tickets to meet him and play some video games with him after the con and that. So that was really cool. But like I went on like just a rampage trying to find an Unrivaled Series 1 Kenny, and obviously no luck.
and couldn't even find the ring. Eh?
The ring is available, but like that's another one of those things where it's from Ringside Collectibles. It's 100 American. The exchange for Canadians right now is nuts, and then their shipping's like
Yeah,
35 American. Like, it's gonna
yeah,
end up costing almost $300 for the ring, where I'm like, that's a little steep. That's a little steep.
yeah.
But so hopefully the production will ramp up, and hopefully they'll redo, even if they have to put a sticker where it's like, this is the second wave of series 1 or something. I don't care. I would like series 1. I'd like the Cody, the Brandy, the Kenny, the Bucks. Like,
Was Brandy considered Series 1?
yeah, Brandy was in series 1 and she was the hardest one to find. Fun
Okay,
fact. Because she sold
right,
out almost immediately.
right.
So, But yeah,
But
anyways,
do you have any more news that you'd like
I've
to
got
cover?
quite a few things here. Do you got more?
I have three more that I can
Well,
mention.
if you want to hit up another one here, and then I'll go
Sure.
on here.
I had T-Bar teasing gimmick change by tweeting death and a picture of the mask that he wears.
Okay.
So that's Dominic Dijakovic
Yeah.
for those who don't remember which one's which. So he posts it's just a black and white picture of the mask, and it just is quoting. It just says death. This was right after Raw.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure it was after Raw. It could have been, but he was on Raw, so it had to be after Raw.
That's interesting. Um,
So yeah,
yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week. The whole retribution gimmick kind of just.
yeah. I'm wondering if they're already phasing it out because they already lost Mia Yim. Was on that, wasn't she?
I believe she's still there. She just wasn't
No,
on
she
this past week.
no they not Mia Yim. Then the other one,
Mercedes Martinez.
yeah. Why she's not in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not like they already took her out and went and she's now lost or doing something or whatever or what I don't even know
Well, she was
in
on NXT.
NXT.
She was on NXT this week. She was in the match, which I'm gonna let you
Right,
talk about.
right. She was on NXT this week.
Come on,
I
Blake.
thought she just got lost
There
in.
was another team in that match. Come on. There was literally
Shut
three other
up!
people. But anyways,
I thought she
we'll
got
get to
lost in
that.
the shuffle. Okay, I apologize. She
What?
could probably kick my ass if she ever heard me forget about her. So
Probably, I guarantee you she could. But
anyway,
yeah. So yeah, I don't know that retribution gimmick. I know there was I was reading there was a bit of backstage heat. Obviously, you take the word from the dirt sheets, you know, as you will. There was heat on Mustafa Ali
okay,
after the Legends night to kick off the year. He went on Raw Talk and basically like just well, he was playing the heel. He
yeah.
tore down the Legends, saying some of them were walking around with walkers and this and that you know management would rather show off the past than let the present shine. I mean, the thing is, he A was playing the heel, and B that's the whole point of Retribution.
Oh, it
They're
is. Yeah,
against the company.
yeah.
And he posted on Twitter after the Raw talk, and basically the caption was, "We're not sure if we can give you a live mic again." And so like that's I don't know, that's one of those situations where I just kind of shake my head cuz I'm like
Yeah,
you've got somebody actually trying to do their gimmick and they do it, but then you turn around and you're like, "Nah, like you went too far."
yeah.
But it's like, "No, he didn't. He did exactly what he needed
Well, yeah, that was like Daniel Bryan when he got fired with the Nexus angle. Like,
because he was choking
yeah,
Justin Roberts with the
yeah.
tie." Yeah.
And I mean, they slammed Cena onto the hard wood of the ring, but choking somebody with a tie, which we've seen worse in WWE before.
I mean, you literally there's people currently using stuff like rear naked choke or sleeper hold or whatever the hell you want to call it as their finisher, but choking somebody with a tie, like I don't know,
Yeah,
it's one of those management things where you just
they clearly righted the wrong, obviously, because he's back and he's doing his amazing. He came back and he fought Nexus, which whatever, who knows. Anyway, that was past. We're gonna move on to the current news.
yes, there will be much time for past talk in future casts and that which we have yet to announce. Anyways, there were some new NXT signings this week. There
Okay.
was I believe her name was Elena Black on the Indies. Darby Allin's ex I believe Priscilla Kelly. I might have the wrong
Yes,
name.
I
I
that's a name I remember being talked about being signed.
So yeah, Priscilla Kelly. She's now signed, and I believe there was one other signing, but I made the mistake of not writing down the names
I
because I'm an
yeah.
absolute genius. Elena Black, Priscilla Kelly, and Lacey Ryan.
Okay.
So they are now going by Elena Black is going by Cora Jade. Priscilla Kelly is going by Gigi Dolan, and Lacey Ryan will now be going as Zoe Stark.
Okay, Cora Jade, then I did hear something interesting. Her match with Joey Janela just got canceled because of her signing.
Okay.
I just read that. So that was I can't remember what it was going to be. I think a GCW event,
Okay.
and that was this weekend. They were supposed to fight, and I can't remember if it was going to be a street fight or whatever. But that match got pulled. Her tweet said, "I'm sorry, something came up," and then I think she made her TV debut on something for whatever. If there was something on this weekend or something like that.
Well, they showed up. I believe it was 205.
Okay, yeah, I don't watch 205 live.
And they were on the stage on NXT this week when they did the introduction for the Women's Dusty Cup.
Oh,
They were
okay,
on the stage because Cora Jade, I guess now Elena Black, and Priscilla Kelly, Gigi Dolan are teaming up in it.
okay, okay.
They are a team within that tournament.
No,
Um,
I didn't see them on the stage, so yeah,
but yeah, so new NXT signings.
that's really cool.
AEW is attempting to trademark the Too Sweet,
I saw that.
which should be an interesting endeavor. I mean, I know WWE has their issues with that, so we'll see where that goes.
Hmm.
Um, there was an announcement, or a reported announcement. WWE is expecting to be able to have about 25,000 fans per night at WrestleMania this year at Raymond James Stadium in
But they'll still
that's in
somehow
Tampa.
break the attendance record.
they they totally will somehow still the COVID era attendance record. I know their big thing, from what I've been reading and hearing, is that they want to have more than the Super Bowl because Raymond James is hosting the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, because I think the Buccaneers are in it.
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't kept up with sports since everything shut down last March.
I'm pretty sure it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the only reason I know that, if you can't tell, I might be a fan of a certain Tampa Bay area team.
And for those of you who may be listening to this
Oh,
after the
right.
fact on audio podcast, he has a bunch of Tampa stuff behind him as well as wearing a Tampa Bay Lightning hat.
Yeah. Sorry, I did forget that we aren't it's audio and video. So yeah, I have a lot of Tampa Bay. So I hear a lot of news around in the Tampa Bay area. So I'm pretty sure it's the Buccaneers. I could be wrong.
I have no
If
clue. I
I'm
just
wrong, I
tried to look it
apologize.
up, but I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, they want more than the Super Bowl will have. So there's that. You got more?
Okay. Um I have, yeah, this one was announced this morning. Or at least I saw it this morning. Matt Hardy was involved in a car accident.
Yes, he posted a tweet about it yesterday.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he
there was a picture of the
yeah.
rear end of his vehicle being pretty smashed up.
Yeah, but there were no injuries. He wasn't hurt. It was just a fender bender. Apparently there was a traffic or stopped from an accident, and a truck was going about 40 and rear-ended him because they were rubbernecking looking at the accident, because of course they were.
Yeah, wow.
So,
Well, glad he came out of that okay.
yeah, hopefully there's nothing hidden, and that will show up in the next coming weeks. So,
Yeah, I mean he's had a rough time. Not to say it in a bad way, but he's had a bit of a rough time since joining AEW. I mean, joining,
absolutely.
first show in the pandemic, the all out incident, stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully
Absolutely.
everything goes well from there. You got any more there?
I just have this one kind of funny one.
Shoot.
DDP wants The Undertaker to join DDPY
I
after The
saw
Undertaker.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It made me laugh just because, I mean, I'd love to see, I guess, Mark Calloway. We can't really call him The Undertaker now. He's dropped that gimmick. It
Yeah, the
is,
gimmick is officially retired as of Survivor
yeah.
Series, so
So it is Mark Calloway now. He I would love to see that. I think that'd
I
be a
think it'd be
hilarious sight.
interesting. As somebody who has done DDPY in the past and whatnot,
Yeah,
I
I've heard it's really helpful,
It
honestly.
is like, and obviously this isn't a promotion or anything. I wish it was, but yeah,
I
I did DDPY. I was in pretty bad shape, as I mean, and a lot of my friends know my issues with my body that I have. And that's how I actually started to be able to start getting in shape again, was with DDPY. And
yeah.
I mean, he touts it all the time on his stuff about, how much it's helped people and this and that. And I can honestly say, as somebody who's done it, and it was in pretty bad shape, it is actually insanely helpful. So
Just you saying tout there made me remember when WWE tried to promote touting, tout it out?
is tout even a thing anymore?
I doubt it. I think it probably got bought by Twitter.
Okay.
Like,
I
I have
totally
no
forgot tout was a
idea.
thing. For those of you who don't know, there was a thing probably, what, 5 years ago?
Oh, it was more than that. More than that. It was at
No,
least,
there's no
oh
way.
yeah.
When
Had
did
to
when
be.
did the Kurt Angle Jason Jordan, which I actually have a thing about Jason Jordan here. When
It
did
wasn't
that
during that.
No, hold on. When did that whole thing happen? Cuz Tout was still
That was
alive.
that was about 5 years ago.
There is no way.
That was about 5 years ago.
I I'm not uh I'm trying to find the date. 2017.
Okay, so 3
July
years
of
ago.
2017. So Tout was still alive because Daniel Bryan and Chad Gable did a thing on Tout afterwards where Daniel Bryan was like, "You're my son!" And to like
Okay.
mock, because that was when Daniel Bryan
I
was
don't
still
know.
unable to compete and was general manager. So I would say the Tout stuff, it might have been 2014. I'm going to say 2013 to 2014. So I can see you
It dissolved in 2019.
oh jeez. Oh jeez. It was around that long, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, speaking of Jason Jordan,
Okay, no, I need to say this. Something I just saw. WWE in 2012 invested $5 million into Tout. Moving on.
wow. Wow. Okay, yeah, we're gonna move on from that. Speaking of Jason Jordan, I believe it was Chad Gable said this week, Jason Jordan is actually still planning on an in-ring return. So hopefully that goes well for him. I know
I
it was
wish him
one
the
of
best.
those upsetting circumstances with the injury and that, and surgery and not being sure. So
Absolutely.
wishing him the best. And the last bit of like actual kind of news that I've got, and then I've got one kind of neat little fact that I think we'll enjoy. Um, Undertaker, Mark Calloway appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, I think it's called, his podcast.
The Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, that's where I saw the DDPY thing.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I realized that from there. He made some comments about the current locker room and the current product and that, and it's actually caught quite a bit of heat with some of the current guys.
Okay.
He made a comment about the product being hard to watch and whatnot, which I mean, it can be and it has been from time to time.
Yeah, for
But then
sure.
he went on to state how a lot of it he thinks it has to do with the locker room, and how back in his day the guys would carry around knives and guns, and like it was, I don't know how to exactly put it, but it was survival. It was just survival. Whoever could.
Similar to the way like the wrestler kind of makes the background, the movie The Wrestler
Yeah.
makes the backstage look.
Yeah, like you've got to do everything you can to survive and stuff like that. And then he made the comment of, now the guys just sit around and, well, there's I'll quote it, they just fucking play video games and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it's caught a lot of heat, and there's been a lot of guys and a lot of people making comments. Xavier Woods actually made a post about it, and there's been a lot of people talking like just kind of being annoyed with him stating, because I mean, a big part of the fact of the matter is back in the day, I mean, a lot of those guys from that era, like, let's be honest, they were lucky to see 40.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys. I mean, some of them have come out lucky. I mean, you look at Taker, and people like Flair in that, but those are some of those lucky ones, to come
Yeah.
out of that era. And
Taker's probably the one that had the longest career out of all of them.
for him to just kind of make those comments, I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like, and pro wrestling has very much so been this. So, I mean, say as you will, but it's very much, it's a fact whether you like it or not. Pro wrestling's one of those situations, because we talked Jim Cornette last week, where the older guys don't like the new generation.
Not at all. Yeah.
They don't. There's the odd exceptions. You get the Dusty Rhodes and guys like that.
And I mean, Taker seems to want the new guys to move up.
It's not that they
things.
don't want them to move up all the time necessarily, but we talked about it last week, so we won't sit on it, about time changes, people change, situations change, the locker room changes.
Yeah.
It's not your locker room anymore. It's a new generation of guys. They're going to do it different. The generation after these guys their locker room is going to be different than the current guys. Just because your locker room was drugs, knives, and guns doesn't mean you got to shit on the current guys for it being video games and just hanging out as buddies, which we made the comment last week as well. This generation technically is the first generation of fans as wrestlers.
Yeah. And it's very true. It is very true.
So, but he caught some heat for those comments. But I mean, that's one of those situations where you look at it and you're like, it's The Undertaker. Some people are going to go, he paid his dues so he can say it. Other people are going to go, he should have just thought it through. But
yeah, for sure.
And then the last bit here, and then we'll get into some results in that. Just a fun little thing. Yesterday was 21 years to the day since the Dudleys and the Hardys fought at the Royal Rumble in a tag team tables match.
That's really cool.
21 years. I mean, I've watched that match, at least a dozen times in my life. I mean, that is one of my favorite eras of tag team wrestling, was Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. I mean, the TLCs and the Triangle Ladder match and stuff like that. So
yeah, and like, they're not small guys doing the things they're doing.
Oh no, I mean, you look at, like, you had like Edge and Christian, who were a bit smaller. You had Matt and Jeff, but then you had
but
like
Matt and Jeff were on the taller side. Like, they weren't short. They're taller than most wrestlers.
But then you had like Devon and Bubba, like
like, those are big boys. They're
small,
like me,
flippy, athletic guys. But I mean, they were some of the best matches to ever happen.
And they have some of the best spots that stand up to even some of today's matches.
Oh, without a doubt.
So,
but
just some of the best ever.
So I think, are you good to move on to some results here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna move on to the results of this week, running through, obviously, and then we're gonna give our ratings after. So Raw.
Yeah.
It was a show.
It was an interesting show.
It was a show.
Opened with the Martin Luther King Jr. compilation.
Yeah, that was they always put together a nice package for
they've never done a bad video package for anything, really.
Exactly. So we open with that, and then we get a Randy Orton promo.
Actually, just before that, I don't know if we've ever mentioned it. When Tom Phillips he announced that the award-winning Thunderdome.
Yes, it won. I don't know if it was.
I have it right here. WWE's recently took home the virtual fan experience for the of the year award from Sportel Awards for the Thunderdome.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be some like Nickelodeon shit or something. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was just something he mentioned that, and I was like, what did they win?
The award-winning Thunderdome. Interesting. Okay.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No worries. I I hear him say it, but it's one of those things. It like we were talking earlier with the titles. It's such a side note that you forget about it sometimes.
I immediately looked it up. I was like, what do you mean by that?
You guys won an award? What, the Slammy Award?
Yeah, like
But yeah, we got a Randy Orton promo. He was wearing what looked like they picked a mask that they picked up from the 99-cent lucha store. Uh,
mhm.
if we're being honest, it looked like a Mil Mascaras mask. If I'm being completely
It
honest,
really did, but it was beige.
it was just beige. It was because they wanted it to look like bandage, but
Yeah, but and if that is what they use for burn victims on the face, like
I see. I don't know, but it very much so just
it didn't
because
look right.
we're talking pro wrestling. It looked like
Yeah.
a lucha mask, but it was
Yeah,
beige.
exactly.
But it very well could it more
It
than likely is what they use on burn victims, but
very likely,
as
but
somebody who doesn't know,
I'm
I
just assuming. I'm trying to give WWE the benefit of the doubt.
exactly. No, they asked Ray if he had any old masks or something.
They went, "Oh yeah, I didn't finish this one. Here you go."
Oh jeez. But yeah, he did a promo just talking about everything from the past few weeks.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's one of those segments where I'm not.
And I mean, he's gonna win the Royal Rumble because, of course.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody is going to win the Royal Rumble for the next week. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had that so that was interesting.
And we had Lacey and Rick were interviewed about what they're doing,
Mm,
and
I'm
we didn't really get an answer.
I'm not
Like,
sure how I feel about this storyline, but okay. It's one of those things where they want us to be dumb and act like we haven't totally had her daughter on TV or stuff like that. And
yeah. And
but
her
yeah,
husband, I think, has even been on TV,
I'm
hasn't he?
pretty sure.
Like,
So but
but yeah,
there was a photo posted by I believe Lacey Evans, and she's laying on a couch with what looks like just Flair's robe on. And like the comment, I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember seeing it and like just kind of cringing.
a little bit, yeah.
But
Like she's a far ways away from where what her character originally started as.
very much, very much. But yeah, so we had their promo, which then led into Charlotte and Peyton Royce.
Yeah. And I mean,
So
wouldn't you know, Rick and Lacey, come on out.
yeah, well, Peyton attacked Flair during her entrance.
Well, yeah, but
Obviously you get the upper hand, and then Rick and Lacey come out. Lacey is in that aforementioned Flair robe.
which I wasn't sure if it was actually a Flair robe initially or if it was a Lacey robe that they made for like a Ric Flair for Lacey robe, but it actually when she turned, it was actually a Ric
Yeah.
Flair robe.
Well, that's just it. When she came out with it, I'm like, oh great, are we gonna have another person in a robe? We were talking prior to the podcast. I found a signings book from 2010 from TNA at a live event that I went to back when they used to run stuff like live events, and that was at the time where AJ Styles and Ric Flair were paired up, and
Yeah.
Styles was wearing the Flair style robes.
Yeah,
So
like
you just never know. But yeah, that was a match. Charlotte picked up the victory in that one.
which was really odd considering we had a distraction and then the person who got distracted still won, which is interesting because WWE's been doing a lot of distraction finishes recently.
A lot.
So it was nice to go the other way, but and Charlotte's also a tag champion. Where is her tag partner? Why isn't she helping her with all of these interruptions?
I really don't know where they're going with any of this. At the end of the day, but anyways, now we move on to what was probably the most, in my opinion, probably most cringy segment of the night. Which I feel bad for saying it, but it was
Because I love,
Riddle
yeah.
and the Hurt Business
I love
backstage
everyone
segment.
involved in this segment.
And it was basically just Riddle trying to bro it up with the Hurt Business.
I don't even
Um,
think he gave them a name. Like there was no like bro business or hurt bros or
I
something like that.
I don't know if he
but
went through them or not, but
I
anyways,
don't
yeah.
think he did that.
It
But
ended up resulting in Lashley and Riddle being face to face, and I guess the point was Lashley was supposed to stomp on Riddle's foot.
in
Um,
reality, he missed by about a foot and
he like
stamps on the ground.
the camera picked like the camera was focused just right. He literally stomped on the ground and then Riddle fell holding the wrong foot too from where the stomp was supposed to be. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, but I mean, it leads into having Riddle be kind of hurt, kind of in their match later that night.
Yeah,
But
well, when we came back from commercial, we ended up having Riddle and the Lucha House Party backstage. Riddle was like taping
yeah,
up his foot or whatever. Said he was fine.
yeah, he's like,
Um,
oh, I've had worse. I'll just tape it up and we'll be good to broski. I think is what he said.
I doubt he said broski. I doubt he said broski because that was Zack Ryder's thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's Riddle. I mean, I swear I heard him say something like that,
It would
or
have been a
good to
bro
bro, maybe.
something, but I don't think it was broski just due to the fact of they were probably
Yeah,
like, let's not do that.
yeah. But anyway,
So we move on here. We end up having Retribution's Mace versus Xavier Woods. Um,
yeah, it
Another one of those matches. The finisher actually looked quite botched in my opinion. I put it in there. It
it looked like a modified F5 to me,
but
like
they
of
were
some kind.
separated way too much. Like Xavier just kind
Yeah.
of like fell, and then Mace kind of just fell on top of him. Like, yeah, we got this. It worked.
Yeah, when they eventually hit it properly, I bet it'll look great.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And I mean, the thing is, these things happen. I have a few other botch notes through the next few shows and that, but
Yeah, every single
it
show I think
happens.
had a botch or two. Like,
Um, and I mean, no matter how good you are, which we will be getting into in Dynamite, things happen, botches happen. But Mace picked up the win.
yeah.
And then
So for you, did this Oscar interview go properly? Like, did so Asuka starts talking and she's like, she gets asked, so what are you gonna do about Alexa? And she goes, I don't know. And then it cuts.
it cuts to a
This
video,
weird
like some kind of package, and then it comes back to Asuka,
Alexa scary, and I'm pretty sure that's all she says and leaves.
and then she walked away.
It's like
Um,
and yeah, and as well, that weird package we talked about was them announcing the WrestleMania stuff again, but they were all in characters. Like we had Triple H and Stephanie McMahon on this announce table. We had Sasha Banks as I think a weather girl or something like
yeah,
that.
she was at AT&T. Yeah, that was what they originally posted.
Oh, was this
For
something they posted on social media or
when
something?
when I sent you about the dates and that back over a week ago, that's how they announced it. Was that video? They
Oh,
posted
okay.
that video, at the same time as Hard to Kill was starting.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the video because I was watching. Actually, I think I was working at the time, and I watched Hard to Kill after, and just
Yeah.
never watched the clip. But
But it was an
yeah,
interesting interview, and then we got Alexa's Playground with Asuka, which the thing is the way Bliss is playing the character is fantastic. I like the don't sit on the swing, it's okay. But the way they had Asuka come out and act during it didn't sit right. Oop, didn't sit right for me. Um in
I think that anything of the aura that Asuka had from her NXT run
Oh, it's
is
gone.
completely gone
It's gone.
with this segment here. Whatever was left, it is now gone.
So
She
far gone.
she looked terrified. She looked worried the whole time. And then she tried playing her music and dancing, and it just none of it worked on Asuka's end. It all worked on Alexa's end. I think they just needed to put somebody else in the Asuka situation, but they're not. They're just not. Like
Yeah,
what would they
it's
do if it was Becky still as the world champion? Like would they have had Becky Lynch being cowering against Alexa Bliss?
see, I don't know. Like I love the route they're going with the Fiend and Alexa stuff. I've said it a lot. I mean, it's where the character needs to go and stuff. But then you
For
throw
sure.
somebody like Asuka in the situation where Asuka shouldn't be in that situation, and I mean that continues into the main event, which we'll be getting to right shortly. But
Yeah.
it was an interesting segment. And then next up, I have Mandy Rose and Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, there
Um,
was just a couple little backstage things, but there was nothing really important. Jeff Jarrett endorsed Goldberg to win the world title. Other
a-
than that, nothing important.
after the entrances again, as we say,
Yeah,
as we're getting
why
ready
does
for a
WWE
match.
continue to do this?
Hey, here's this match. Oh, by the way, here's this video package real quick of Jeff Jarrett saying Goldberg is gonna win. Sorry, did I
I
stutter
hate when that
there?
happens, right?
I hate that. But yeah, we had Mandy Rose and Shayna Baszler. And Baszler came out on top. I don't have anything noteworthy from that match. Not to sound like an asshole, but
She won with the Kirifuda clutch. Moving on.
now what I have up next is probably one of the best, probably the best match of the night, which was AJ Styles and Ricochet.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. This gets nominated for one of my matches of the week.
like it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean,
A note thing I want to say: Ricochet's gear looked really like Hurt Business's gear.
oh,
It
did
was
it? I
black.
wasn't
It
paying
was
attention.
black and gold, and I was like, hmm.
Hmm. But very, very good match. AJ wins
Yes.
after a sick counter into a Styles clash. Like absolutely.
Was there Royal Rumble implications in this, or was Ricochet allowed to announce himself to the Royal Rumble
I would
fairly?
assume Ricochet's allowed to announce himself in. I'm like if we're gonna keep using AJ Styles as like the guy you have to beat to get into the Rumble, like I just
Well, he was the last 2 weeks. That's why I asked.
we're gonna have 4 matches tomorrow night of AJ Styles, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
qualification
like,
because I mean the Rumble's a week
well,
away,
if
right?
Styles isn't in the final four, then what was all this build for? Like,
I
he doesn't have to win, but he should be in the final four.
normally going into the Rumble every year, I've had a pretty good feeling of who's gonna be near the end and who I figure will win. You generally have an idea of like they've really built these people. They'll be near the end, but you know they've got the plan for this guy. Like last year, McIntyre, you knew it going into it.
Mhm.
Because they literally just put a rocket on his back.
Yeah,
But this year, I've got nothing. We're a week away, and I have zero idea of who they actually want to come out on top.
I could see it being Brian. And we'll get more into it on SmackDown because he talks about that. But tentatively, I could say Brian winning. But
But I mean, the normal build they put towards the people who they plan on, potentially winning, it's been really lacking. So,
yeah, for sure.
but next up we had the
Oh,
dirt
actually,
sheet.
I wanted to point out the finish to this match, that AJ Styles and Ricochet match, because
Oh
it was
yeah, I had
insane.
mentioned it was a really awesome counter into the Styles clash. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. No, go
my
ahead
bad.
though. Go ahead.
He catches him pretty much, and then just picks him up, springboards him off the ropes, and then hits into the Styles Clash. It was the smoothest move I've ever seen. I
It
just
was
loved it.
ridiculously well done. Like
Yeah.
I was impressed beyond belief with it.
So yeah, I apologize. I didn't hear
Oh,
you
no
say that.
worries. No worries. But yeah, we had the dirt sheet which ended up just being
Which is way better than the Miz TV. They should continue with Dirt Sheet instead of the Miz TV. But anyway,
yes. It was supposed to be with Goldberg. And
it was Goldberg.
we ended up getting the return of
Oh,
Gillberg,
oh, sorry, no,
which
sorry, Gillberg.
hey
Gillberg.
man, hey man, if we can have Gillberg versus McIntyre at Rumble, I'm okay with that.
Can
I
it be
don't
the
mean to be.
McIntyre that came out? Like,
Oh my god, who is this guy? Just some dude from New Jersey, and like, I loved it because when he started hopping around and his like kilt was falling and showing the top of his ass crack, and the commentators are like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was just great. Like, this
Yeah,
was a mess from start to finish, but it's also probably one of the best segments of the
it,
week. Like,
oh
it was
yeah.
so funny.
But it was supposed to be Goldberg. They ended up having Gillberg and then McIntyre, which was just some random bigger dude, who they claimed was from New Jersey.
He came up with a British accent initially.
It
Like,
was meant to be comedic. Which, by the
I got a
way,
laugh out of it.
yes, I did too. McIntyre has already competed again. They pre-taped the Superstar Spectacle, I think is what it's called, the India WWE India show that's supposed to air this week. They've already taped it, and McIntyre was there and wrestled.
How?
His period must be up, his quarantine period.
But it's only been
So,
a week.
no clue. No clue.
Did did they sacrifice a wrestling? Like, we're gonna give you COVID, but we gotta finish this match.
I think they've shortened it to 10 days. I think the Who has shortened it to 10 days for their for a quarantine period.
Okay, but
So that would
maybe.
add up. But it's still, when I saw it, I was like, that's
That's suspicious.
that's not the greatest thing. But anyways, yeah, so we had the dirt sheet. And next up I have Hurt Business versus Riddle and Lucha House Party.
Yeah.
So it we talked
There
about
was
it
a
last week. A lot of infighting.
yeah, and it was all that this was. This was, you didn't care what was going on with Lindsay and Grand Metalik and Riddle. It was all, what the hell is going on with Hurt Business?
Like, you guys are in a great position. Stop.
And it just seems like it's Cedric and Shelton, actually, now that we've had this three-way match. Lashley and MVP are very much, what the fuck are you two doing? You're the tag champions.
Like,
And
stop.
I can't wait until Shelton and Cedric eventually have their blow off feud, maybe similar to what Inner Circle is doing, but
Potentially.
which would be fine, which would be absolutely fine. It works.
But we didn't even have enough build for the Hurt Business as a team to bother doing.
Exactly. We waited a year for infighting to start for Inner Circle. Like,
And I mean, the infighting with the Inner Circle's gimmick, it makes sense. The
because
infighting
yeah,
here, I don't get it. Like, if you didn't want to be part of the group, you shouldn't have joined. Now you're
you shouldn't have
joining,
turned on
and
your
now you're
buddies.
just
Like,
infighting. Like, none of it adds up to a point where I'm enjoying it. It doesn't.
yeah. And if it turns around and it makes Cedric the main event star that he should be, and puts the tag title onto MVP where it should
Sure.
already be,
Sure.
if they need to keep the tag titles and whatever titles with Hurt Business.
Yep.
I think if this ends with Cedric becoming a main event guy, this is fine.
I'm okay with that. 100%.
But it has to end that way, and if it doesn't, I don't see why we even had this team in the first place.
Yeah. But Hurt Business picks up the win in that one.
And then they argued after the match.
Uh
Because yeah.
Jeff Hardy, Jackson Riker. We're still going with this, I guess, as well.
We had Elias explaining to Riker that he was being sarcastic, which, I mean, even a baby could tell he was being sarcastic. Like,
I don't know. And then Riker being like, "Don't help me. I got this." And then we ended up having the disqualification finish to the match with Elias taking out Hardy.
yeah. Yeah, and then Riker looks at him, he's like, you said you weren't going to help me. Like,
Yeah, it just
again, if this ends with these two becoming single stars, I'm fine with it, because this should not be a team. Guys can work on their own.
I don't know. It was interesting. And then I have the main event here next. Which I've got good things and bad things. So we had Alexa Bliss versus Asuka. And to put the finish out there right now, Bliss wins in what it can almost be considered almost a squash match.
I didn't see any offense really from
Like
Asuka at
Asuka
all.
had very little. Um, One thing I didn't like was when the lights cut during the match, they shot to commercial.
Yeah. So and that's probably because it actually stayed live by the look of it. So they actually probably had Bliss change during that time.
They should have just done what they've been doing the past few weeks and pre-taped it. It would have been better. Like if it
Because
was
what
live, sure, but I don't
I mean,
understand.
actually thinking about it, that segment, the what's it called? The people were gone. There were no so
Thunderdome, the
it might
Thunderdome
have already
crowd.
been it might have been recorded. So yeah, that was my interpretation was that it was getting her dressed for that
I
segment,
know
but
at the end when she changed back again,
it went back to live.
she had been wiping her lipstick down, the black lipstick, and when it came back, she had none. Um,
Yeah, it flipped back to live. So maybe there was like
may
that segment
maybe
and
part of it was taped and part of it was, I don't know, but it
who
was
knows.
interesting. Bliss lights went out, came back on. She almost was like a different person
Well, it
almost.
was similar to Bray Wyatt on Funhouse and Fiend Bray Wyatt. But there
Yeah.
was no mask change. It's just her makeup gets a bit darker.
The makeup and I believe the outfit changed a little bit, but
Yeah, she was wearing a pink t-shirt and it switched to black. But she kept the suspenders, I think she still had on.
yeah, but Bliss won. Lights came back, like lights went out, came back on. She was back to normal, and we ended the show off with, yeah, Asuka getting basically squashed by Bliss.
So this has to end with Bliss getting the title, right?
I would
This
I
is the way they're going.
That or winning the Rumble, because the thing is, we still don't know how the Rumble's playing out. We don't know
Is
if the
she in the
Rumble's
Rumble?
gonna Bliss. Yeah, she declared it during the Playhouse.
Oh right, yeah, she did. Yeah, of course she did. Because why not?
Um, but we don't know how the Rumble's going.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
it's in the Thunderdome. So there's a good chance we get, I hate to say the words, but a cinematic-esque Rumble.
As long as they don't do what they did with Money in the Bank.
No, it'll still be like the Rumble, but I can assume there's going to be chunks of it that were probably pre-taped, because the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Bliss winning and then the Fiend maybe returning in the men's and giving them both the win of the Rumble. Like, I don't know, like that might be a bold prediction for later for our
But does
segment, but
but that would then mean that we see Fiend beat Bray, don't we? Or is he on? Yeah, he would have to beat Bray. Or, Drew.
I was letting you catch yourself there. Yeah, but I mean that's sure. It's just, it's a matter of where they want to go. Like, are
My issue is I don't see the Fiend as a championship character. I see him along the lines of the Taker character, where if he's got a title, sure, but it needs to make sense. He needs to be having that feud already.
but the
When
thing
Taker would
is,
go for the world title, it would be on Edge, somebody who he would be feuding with.
but it does make sense because we
Does it?
give, it's something we don't want to happen, but let's be honest here. Goldberg takes the title this Sunday. The Fiend
Oh.
wins the Rumble.
See, I was just assuming WWE would do right by us and give us Drew winning.
Well, Goldberg wins the title. Fiend wins the Rumble. We get the Fiend and Goldberg at Mania, and the Fiend
Okay,
corrects
yeah.
his wrong from last year.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
If
when
that's
Goldberg caused COVID, like we talked about on the last podcast. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the previous podcast because we discussed that.
COVID is the true result is Bill freaking Goldberg.
But the thing is, I'm 50-50 on the angle. If that's how they go, sure, hopefully they build it right. If that's not how they go, sure, fine. I think I'm impartial to whichever way they do it. The only thing is, if they do it, the way I just said, Fiend winning the Rumble, Goldberg winning the title, the Fiend needs to win at Mania. The
Yeah.
Fiend needs to be unstoppable into Mania, and basically he needs to do the whole, like, he never forgets, and he's coming back, and he's righting that wrong. Which, if that's how they do it, perfect. And then it makes somewhat sense of putting the title on him.
A little bit, yeah. Okay, yeah. I guess
It's
if
not
they
the
do that,
perfect way.
sure.
It's not the perfect way, but
I would just prefer we don't see Goldberg get another title reign
it's
in
gonna happen at
20
some
in
point.
the 2020s, I guess, because who knows? He could win it in 2029 too.
Well, give him time. No
Should we
freaking
move on to Impact now?
yeah. Before I get heated, yes. Let's move on to Impact. Yeah.
Okay, so Impact opens up with the Bullet Club backstage at the Hard to Kill. And then as Bullet Club kind of walks out of the room, Don turns to the camera and starts talking about how he has to take a hiatus because he has business to take care of in Jacksonville. I don't know what could be in Jacksonville. There's not like there's another wrestling promotion there,
Oh,
but
they had some good one-liners in this show. That's all I can say
oh
later on
yeah.
regarding Jacksonville. But yeah, he almost seemed to write himself off of Impact for a bit.
And I feel like that's going to be Kenny as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see Good Brothers later on in the show. So, but we don't ever really hear mention of Kenny coming out. We didn't see a cut to his bus at all this week.
Yeah, so I would assume that was the
So
way of being like, we're done with this
we,
until
we beat
what's the
your
next show?
champion. Give us the
Rebellion?
title match. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
which is
So my
where
yeah.
I think that's probably where we're gonna start seeing the Kenny Callis bit again, which is fine,
Yeah.
which is perfectly fine.
And I think it makes perfect sense because it's exactly what they did. They just beat the world champion. Now it's like, okay, well, give us the world championship match now. We
Yep.
can't beat anybody else but your world champion.
Yep,
Like,
exactly. And I mean, it doesn't make sense to have Kenny there every week now until
no, he
we
doesn't need
get
to
it in
work two
perspective
shows
again.
a week. Like as much as I love that we've gotten 2 shows a week for Kenny, where he's not only just talking, he's also wrestling. Cough, cough, Roman.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
We get Eric Young against Rhino. Rhino has cousin Jake with him, and Eric Young obviously has Violent by Design, Diener, and Joe Doring. Um, good match.
Yeah. Interesting note. Rhino came out with the Call Your Shot Cup,
Yep.
which is something it looked like it said the Bound for Glory logo on it, so
He
it's
won it
something
at
he
Bound
must
for
have won
Glory.
there.
It was a battle royal or something, so he gets
Okay.
a world title shot.
And they mentioned he wanted it to do it with the tag titles, but his tag partner's been injured, so he's gonna he can do it on anything again. Like they're giving it back to him basically.
Yeah.
So that's something I this is the first time I've seen him even carrying it, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Well, I believe they were initially gonna go the route of him and Heath winning,
Slater?
because yeah, well, Heath Miller is what he's going by
Oh, okay.
now, but he ended up he was actually supposed to win the cup, but he ended up not, I believe, even being in the battle royal. I believe he had like something with his like, to be dead ass honest, like his intestines, like he had a blockage or something, or like
Yeah, I
something
think
happened.
he had to have surgery of some kind, I
Yeah,
think is what they said.
so
So
they're probably just holding on till then. um but good match. Eric
I
Young,
totally forgot that Impact has
Heath.
Heath.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
did too. I did too until you mentioned that, and that was like the click in of like, oh right. But Eric Young wins via submission. And then post match beatdown. One note I made here, which I mean, take it as you may. I want to know when we did away with the refs can reverse decisions type thing.
I don't know.
That was a
Yeah,
big
I
thing where, like, I understand not every segment needs it. Sometimes there's a post-match beatdown, but it was the fact that he wasn't letting go of that hold, and then there was a beatdown. That's a situation where it's like, maybe let's
yeah.
consider the ref being like, that's why they ring the bell. That's why the bell gets rung, is to like, the match is over. And in the past we've had it where it's been like, the ref then reverses the decision. And
Yeah,
that
and
seemed like the perfect situation to do something like that.
especially with the Violent by Design group as they are, that would have been a perfect thing for them to start yelling about, like, "Oh, you can't, we beat him fair and square, he tapped, blah, blah, blah," like, you know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean,
Like,
they're saying like the sport is sick, the industry is sick, stuff like that. That's the point of Violent by Design. So what better way to do
exactly.
it to then like, hey, we're beating the hell out of these guys. We're trying to break Rhino's ankle. Okay, we reversed the decision. That's just more fuel for Eric Young and them to be like, see, where, let's not take Sami Zayn's gimmick away from him,
I
where it's
was just about to mention
conspiracy.
that.
But like they're like the industry is sick. This sport is sick. We got
Yeah,
screwed.
and honestly, that's a very good point. That's two interesting takes on the same gimmick. Like, they're two polar opposites, but their point is the exact
It
same.
is. It is. 100%. But good match. Like I like
Oh, it
that
was.
that's not necessarily a an issue directly towards the match. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, lately we've had a lot of that post-match beatdown, and we've just done away with the ref can reverse a decision. Like I
And
just
you know what? Thinking about that, actually, they had Rhino come out with the cup specifically for that reason of the beatdown. They wanted to remind everybody he had it. He's being written off until he's cleared.
good point. Good point. Yeah, I
That's
can see
actually what I
that.
just thought of. I just thought of that.
So, wow, I never even thought about that. Um And then next up, what I have here, post Hard to Kill again. Rich Swann getting
Mhm.
interviewed. Moose comes in and just kind of
They talk.
killed Swan.
Yeah.
Um,
Moose is going to be the Impact World Champion that Kenny beats. I don't think he's going to beat Swan because he's already defeated Swan.
that's
I
fair.
think, and I think the image of hitting a one-winged angel on Moose is just amazing.
I think it'd be cool too, but every time I think about it, I get kind of scared because I'm like, Moose is gonna get his freaking neck broken.
Yeah, like
Like the one winged angel is not a like I'm not saying it's not a safe move. Obviously, if it wasn't a
I don't
safe
think
move, it
anybody's
wouldn't
been
be
hurt. I don't
used.
think so
But it
far.
is like just the rotation. It's like Pentagon's pump driver when he arm underneath like between their legs and up and flips them. I mean, he did it to Dustin in I don't remember where it was, but it was Cody and Dustin versus Lucha Bros, and he hit it on Dustin, and he dropped Dustin right on the top of his head. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those moves where it can be done perfectly and it can look beautiful, but if the rotation isn't there, I mean, Kenny's One Winged Angel is just it's an electric chair into a pin. Like that is
But
the
it's an
the
electric
proper.
chair turned to a power bomb into a pin, really.
Well, I'm trying to remember. There is an exact name. It's electric chair something. Um, I like there's a proper name for it, but
I'm trying to picture the move in my head now.
but it's like there's been
Oh,
people
it would be an
injured.
electric chair driver, wouldn't it?
Electric chair driver, thank you. Yes.
As I did the move, I was like, "Oh, that would be it, wouldn't it?"
Yeah.
Like,
So there's been people injured off of it. Like even the
yeah,
safest of workers. So and I'm just thinking the sheer size of Moose, because I mean I believe Kenny picked him up for it at Hard to Kill and then he fought out of it. But
yeah.
I can remember
He
him getting
had
him
him in
up
it. Like,
and I'm like, oh no.
I was like, "Uh oh."
But but yeah, so we
But
have
that was
that.
good.
We have Moose attacking, and then it cuts to what I would assume would be that night. Swan saying, basically, I'm gonna challenge Moose.
Yeah, and then it moved on to AC Romero showing evidence to Tommy Dreamer to prove that Larry D is innocent. And oh my god, the twist ending to that is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah, but
And that comes later in the night. Like,
and then the next part, which was a really cool, actually got a bit of a pop out of me, and I think they'll continue to as they do stuff like this. We had the Good Brothers come out, spew the heel stuff that they do.
the Biz
Biz
Cliz. Like,
Cliz. Saban comes out, says they want their tag title match. Good Brothers, Shelly's not there, and then we get freaking James Storm, which was
Sorry about your damn luck.
that was my first pop because I'm like I'm a fan of James Storm. I really enjoy him.
Yeah,
Uh,
like
and then the second pop of it is as they're promoing back and forth, we get Matt Hardy and Private Party coming out,
yeah,
which was a
like
really cool thing.
and I'm loving the fact that we've finished one
Angle.
AEW's angle, and here's the next one right into it.
Yeah.
Like just and it moved perfectly. Like there was nothing wrong with it. And to me, I initially hated this Matt Hardy gimmick that's been going on. This segment right here completely makes it make sense to me. It is perfect.
It's making sense. I like it's making sense as to why they're continuing it with the partnership and stuff like that. I just, as a Matt Hardy fan, it hurts me deep down a little bit that like we're not getting Matt on his own because we know exactly after the past few years of everything he's done, and I'm not talking just the broken stuff. I'm talking as a whole, his multiverse, all that. I'm sad we're not getting that, but I'm sure there's still time. It
It
feels
when
like,
Yeah, when he gets in front of a live audience again, that is when we are getting the multiverse of
see,
Matt again.
I hope so. I'm just a little worried that we got taken away from it because of incident after incident after incident. And I'm this is one of those
Eh,
things where I'm like, I'm not trying to make accusations or anything like that because I don't know for sure, but I'm worried it's one of those situations where like Tony Khan is not as like, hot take here, he's not as out of touch as Vince is. But I'm worried that it's going to be the same situation where Vince didn't get the broken gimmick, which is why we barely got it. We got some, but we barely got it. I'm worried that the way the series of events played out within AEW with the broken gimmick, I'm worried Tony Khan just went, it's not worth it. Like that's where I'm sitting right now because it seemed like a really just abrupt end to it and like a really weird cut and not like we're barely getting it mentioned.
I really think it is going to be playing into the fact of once we're in front of that live audience, he's going to go back to it, and I think that's why they're not talking about it at all. It's almost going to be as if it's been a non-mention and it's never happened before, and when he slips back into it, I don't know. Like that's just my assumption on it.
I just, if they do that, I hope they do it right because there's going to be a lot of, it's just why I'm making that face. There's going to be a lot of, the second we're back in front of a live crowd, all these things are going to happen. All these things we've been saving for a live crowd are going to happen. So that's just it. I want it to be done properly. I don't want it to just be another one of those things because it is such an amazing thing that he's done. I don't want it to just be another one of, the second the live crowds are back, we got these 15 things that they've been
No, exactly.
saving.
And I mean, the one thing that might get hot triggered out of AEW is the blood and guts match. Other than that, I
I'm cool with
think
that
they're
though.
going exactly. I think other
I'm
than
okay with
that,
that.
they're not gonna send something like the broken gimmick or anything else that they've been kind of waiting on. Other than that blood and guts match, I don't think anything is gonna be rushed. I think as soon as the live crowd comes, they're like, by the way, we're doing the blood and guts match. Like
And a quick side note before we continue with Impact here, as we should get moving through these.
yeah,
AEW apparently will not be going to Miami because they put out a package for all of February for tickets
maybe it's in the
at
future or something.
the thing is, like I said, the report I read was they were supposed to be going to Miami for the beach break and for Revolution, but from what I saw, they announced a ticket package for February for like the next 5 shows or something. It's the
Did they
Revolution
announce
tour,
beach breaks ones though?
and yeah, it includes beach break in that up until
Okay,
Revolution. Like it's the Revolution tour package or something, and from what I saw, it's at Daly's Place.
interesting.
So I don't know. That was just an interesting side note, but
Yeah,
yeah, so anyways, Matt Hardy, Private Party come out. They're all going at it, and we get the announcement of Saban and Storm against Private Party. Winners get a shot at the Good Brothers.
Yeah, and that is cool because we had Matt turn to Private Party, grab them by the back of the head, and be like, "Win by any means necessary."
Yeah.
And it is such a cool little gimmick that he's doing now. It's these subtle things that he's doing. It's Vince McMahon, it's Don Callis, it's Tony Khan a bit. Like
Oh, he's
it's
being the ultimate carny.
he really is. He is being everything we hate about wrestling is Matt Hardy right
Yep.
now.
Well, that's just it. The ultimate carny. Like
Yeah, like
it's what we've moved so far away from in the business, the carniness of it, and Matt's
yeah,
bringing it back in. So that's why I'm like, I don't dislike the gimmick. It's just the way we've gotten into it, and that it's the it's the fan sourness in me. That's
the
all.
way it's moved into it. Yeah, I was in your position where I didn't like it, but as soon as this started happening, I was like,
I
"Oh,
think they're gonna handle it really well. But
yeah."
we get a quick Matt Cardona interview. Um,
Yeah.
after that, and then we get I I don't know, maybe it's just me. We get the Fire and Flava backstage segment, and they're trying to sell passes for their celebrate.
Somebody stole their purse or their money or something. So they're trying to make their money back.
But I mean, I don't know if this is a thing from previous impacts that I missed that they're now bringing
It
back around
must
again.
be.
Because if it's something new, they definitely didn't explain it enough. And as somebody just getting back in, I am lost as like lost can be.
Exactly. These segments don't make any sense to me. Cuz we had the swingman. I don't know his full name.
Johnny
I just
Swinger.
have Johnny Swinger. Okay. So we
Yeah.
had him. He get and just saying that they want to get money from him to get in the ring, and he's got, I think it was like $10 or something like that. And they're like, that's not enough. And it was just really weird.
It
And
felt
then
odd the
and
whole
then
time.
apparently Swingman stole money from him from, oh, hang on. It's this Falaba.
Falaba. Yeah.
Falaba comes in and he's like, "No, you stole the money." And I'm like, "Who stole money? Was somebody stole money?"
And then Brian Myers comes in and
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, moving on. We get Kimberly and Susan with Deonna Purrazzo against Jordan Grace and Jazz in what
And
ends
I
up
thought we weren't going to see this tag team again, Jordan Grace and Jazz, after their match at what was the last pay-per-view? Hard
Genesis.
to Kill. Genesis, yeah. It wasn't Hard to
Genesis.
Kill, it was Genesis. Yeah.
Um but
Yeah. So
but decent match. The win
for
was
sure.
picked up by Susan and Kimber. Deonna hit Jazz in the back of the head with the belt. Good heel playing in there.
Yeah,
But
it was really good.
really good women's tag match. And then we get the
Taya
continuation.
Valkyrie's Taya Valkyrie's goodbye, basically.
Yeah. It's to do with that whole thing back in the fall and to do with this
Yeah.
whole shooting and that she basically they know it was her. She admits
Her
to it,
fingerprints were on the gun
and the ring rust, and
and
it
the
was in her
ring rust.
bag, and
And my question is, if that was the case, why wasn't she interviewed the first time?
who knows.
But
Uh,
anyway,
but she gets arrested. There's a really nice moment between her and Rosemary.
yeah.
Um,
But before that, Tommy Dreamer makes the best
Jax,
joke ever.
she's either going to Jacksonville State Prison, Stanford Maximum Penitentiary, and then I believe it's AC who goes, I hope she doesn't go to Baltimore, which is ROH.
Yeah,
Like
like
I heard it and I stopped and I'm like, you guys really
like
fit that in there good.
it was subtle for the people who knew the locations of the
The
headquarters.
companies, yeah.
It just worked so nice, and it made me laugh because I'm one of them, and I'm gonna assume Ty is heading to WWE to
I
join
would assume
John.
so. I would assume so.
And that's
Disappointed, but yeah.
I'm not, because I've always wanted to see her on a big stage. I'd like to see her in AEW, but AEW's women's division needs a Taya Valkyrie, but they don't have somebody for her to fight.
See, the thing is, the reason I'm disappointed is that roster for WWE is already so crowded. Anytime
Yes,
I
it
see
is.
somebody with the talent of Taya going there, I get upset because I know, like, even if she's put in a prominent position, even when you're in a prominent position, unless you're Roman Reigns, you're lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Even
And that's
McIntyre as
just
the
it.
world champion on Raw feels lost in the shuffle a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. Like it's a great thing cuz obviously she's going to get paid by WWE. Like she's not going to be on NXT. She's going to go right to the main roster
Here's
to
hoping.
probably well because they're probably going to just have her valet for Morrison until until they can be like, "Oh, well is she actually going to be a good wrestler?" Like cuz that's classic WWE.
Yeah.
Like because look at Melina. She valeted for Eminem until they were like, "Oh, well, wait, you can do more than just splits."
But then we move on to the All Elite Wrestling paid ad. Tony Khan, is in the Impact Zone. I got a good chuckle out of Shivani being like, "This is a real production studio," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Jesus Christ, Shivani, Skivo." But
yeah.
yeah, Tony Khan's at the Impact Zone
With
with
Jerry
Jerry
Lynn,
Lynn.
Jerry,
They're heading towards the ring, which it ends up
which
taking
they
them a
take a
really
lot.
long time. That studio is not that big. I know it's not.
No, I know.
But Rich Swann comes out for a promo and calls out Moose.
Okay, there was while Rich Swann was entering the ring. I just had a little note here. The commentary is so much better now
Oh
than
my
it was last
god.
week. He
Thank you,
mentioned things
Striker and D'Lo. Thank you.
like, yeah, this was like I noticed it right here because they started saying things about Swan. And I'm like, oh my god, that's something that um Matthews wouldn't ever say. Like, it was
And they've
leagues and
got an
bounds better.
energy behind them. Josh Matthews was so monotone. But let's not beat a dead horse.
Can we a little bit though?
Oh, probably shouldn't. Probably shouldn't. Yeah, Moose comes out, wants a title match. Rich Swann tells him he can have it now. Moose tells him that's not how it works. And
Yeah.
then Swan throws a real good punch, and we
Yep.
get a nice little brawl, honestly.
Yeah, and it ends with Swan hitting a Phoenix splash on
Beautiful
Moose.
move. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
really good.
Um, we have a backstage segment. Scott D'Amore, Rohit Roju comes in, uh, complaining, and then
Yeah.
TJP comes in with the belt.
And it seems like Manic is going to be similar to the Demon for TJP.
Sure,
And
sure,
I'm fine with that.
that's fine. Um, I Another one of those good one-liners. Scott D'Amore, what? Don't you have a membership to Impact Plus?
Yeah,
Like, we
like
know he's the same person.
we get it. We know you were just dumb enough to say, "Well, I guess Manic's going to challenge." Like you could have said, "No, you're TJP." Like leave. Like
Um, we get TJP and Rohit in 2 weeks. But in a non-title match, which Rohit was not told.
yeah, no, Rohit had already left, and then Scott looks at TJ and goes, so should I tell him it's a non-title match?"
So, and then we get another Fire and Flava segment, which once again I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they had talked to this ref, and then they get
It,
interrupted by Havoc and Nevaeh, and then it just ends.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have much to say about those segments. And then we get Brian Myers and Falaba, which was a
Who's
decent
a
match.
big dude.
He
Big dude.
is. Which yeah, I was impressed with even just the duration of the match and that.
It was a
Um,
quick match, but it worked. Oh,
yeah.
actually, something I wanted to notice or mention here. Um, as Kimberly was entering the ring for her match, the hour ticked over for Impact. They had one match in the first hour.
Oof. I didn't notice that. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, Brian Myers picks up the win. I didn't notice that. Wow. Okay. Caught off guard there. Thanks.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that as we
No,
started
that's
talking.
crazy.
Yeah, one match in the first hour, and then they had 4 in the last. I'm
Wow.
pretty sure.
Okay. Backstage promo, Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, just talking about Hard to Kill again. Um, and then Josh Alexander interrupts. They start attacking Josh, and Matt Cardona makes a save.
Yep.
It was a pretty obvious way of where the segment was going. They started calling out Josh Alexander. He shows up. They beat him down.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona makes a save. We know where that's going.
Yep. And I'm not complaining about it at all.
Oh no, not one bit. And then Eddie Edwards is getting checked out to try and get medically cleared. And Brian Myers comes in bitching about his eye. I didn't realize that Myers was supposed to be the heel right now, if I'm being honest,
We're supposed
until
to
this
not
show.
like him?
Apparently.
Oh.
Apparently, his whole thing, the most professional wrestler, seems to be a heel gimmick, which I didn't catch on to until this segment when he came in and was just a dick. So,
Okay.
I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
know.
interesting. Even during that segment, I didn't catch it. Maybe it's just because I like heels now.
Who knows? And then we get into the main event. Sabin and Storm versus Private Party with Matt Hardy. That rolls off the tongue so well. They did great there.
The Hardy Party.
Hardy Party. Can I just say I'm glad they didn't actually start calling it the Hardy Party. Like I get it, but that would have just made me cringe. Private
Like,
Party with
I
Matt
like
Hardy,
it as a
that's
joke.
fine. It
I like,
It's
yeah.
great as a side mention, but I do not ever want it to pop up on one of the nameplates.
No, exactly. If they need to say, if they're doing a triple team and they're like, oh, Hardy Party does this, I'm fine with that. Because you don't want to say Matt Hardy and Private Party. Like,
exactly, but I do not want to start seeing it pop up on like the nameplates or anything.
Or if they want to do Matt Hardy with Private Party and in brackets Hardy Party, that's fine with me.
Sure.
Like, but just don't make it their name. Like,
exactly. If they're trioing, sure, but I want both parties to stay like in their own.
Like, yeah, we don't want them to be associated forever to the point where like we forget that Private Party was a name.
Exactly.
So,
but match was really good. Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn end up finally making their way to the ring.
Something funny that I loved while Tony's writing notes. I noticed he's a lefty like me.
They made a point to mention that he was a lefty and that lefties are sinister. Like, the commentary through this match was phenomenal because Matt Stryker kept making the comment of, like, they're the enemy, but, like, we can't necessarily call them the enemy because we don't know if they're here to do bad. And, like, this is where the commentary was so much better.
Exactly,
Jerry Lynn ends up getting involved and holding Sabin's foot. Private Party hit Gin and Juice and win. And are going to challenge for the tag titles.
Which is insane. They are probably going to win them. I mean, I would not hate that at all.
I wouldn't complain.
And it'll be interesting because then Kenny would have a reason to get involved with Matt Hardy. And
it's gonna make for really awesome long-term storytelling.
Absolutely.
But the Good Brothers come out, get in everybody's face. They start a brawl and they go off the air.
Yep.
Decent impact.
Absolutely.
We should start honestly rolling through these results here.
Yeah.
So we've got
Dynamite.
Dynamite starts off with -1's birthday. Which this segment was great. Luther comes out, says -1's stupid, he's a doofus.
Yeah. And then we had this 8-man tag match rolling for that. It was to celebrate his birthday, right?
Yeah.
He basically made this match.
Yeah, so the Hybrid 2, TH2, and Chaos Project versus Dark Order with Hangman. I like the whole cake bit and the kendo stick. I've seen a bit of complaining online, not to sit on this for too long, as we do have to roll through this. But I've seen some complaining online of people being like we can start to like phase this whole like Brody's gone, we understand, we can start to phase it off. And I'm sitting here like, no. No,
No,
I have absolutely no issue if once in a while we have Brody Jr. -1 come out, do something. I mean,
yeah.
I've got no issue with it. The kid had a really tough loss. I mean,
It's his first birthday without his father.
like, we can gladly have these segments on and off
If the
for,
kid makes appearances for the next 5 years while he's waiting to become 18 or however old he is, whatever his age is, I'm not saying he's 5 years to 18,
but
however long he
however
has to
long,
wait.
like, if you don't like it now, when he turns 18 and if he still wants to be a pro wrestler, hate to break it to you, he's going to be a main eventer one day more than likely, because I'll tell you right now, he'll have the skills his father had.
And I hate to break it to you as well, he's already put pen to paper. He's got a contract if he wants to be a wrestler,
Yep.
which he does. If you look at
So,
him, he does. But
good
anyway,
good
Dark Order
match.
wins.
Dark Order and Paige win. I like the kendo stick and papers bit with Brody Jr. on the stage.
Yeah, that was
Um,
good.
and Hangman tells Dark Order he won't join him, which was
And
actually kind of heartbreaking.
he sounded genuinely sorry. I was so sad for him. I was like, oh my God, Hangman, like, I get it. The Elite was kind of dicks to you, and they were. They really were. Like, I get it, man. You don't want to be a part of a team, but the Dark Order, man, they're going to treat you right.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's not the end of it by any means, but I
No,
look
it's
forward to
not.
where it's going. Jericho and MJF promo backstage, hyping up later on in the show.
Yep. It was good.
And then we have Sting coming out to congratulate Darby Allin.
This was really quick. And it makes that match that you talked about
The street fight at
yeah,
Revolution. Yeah.
and the news that we were on. It basically he literally just comes out, I want to be the first to publicly congratulate you as TNT champion. I'm like, yeah, that's
Sure.
pretty good.
Sure. Yep. The veteran.
I mean, I don't
Yep.
think he's the first person to publicly do it, but
we appreciate the thought.
yeah,
Team Taz interrupts on this on the Tron there.
yep.
Basically, you know, you want to bring weapons into this. We're from the streets, and Darby basically accepts. Which is why I
He
was
says,
surprised
yeah.
it took so long for them to actually announce it.
It's probably because they had to go talk to Tony. You know, like this one required some discussion with Tony Khan.
Oh yeah, a whole lot of discussion. But yeah, decent segment, and then
Oh yeah,
really a segment that I enjoyed. The Elite were supposed to meet up at Kenny's house.
yeah.
I don't know if you want to
That
run through this one.
I mean, it was a really quick little segment. We had like they came into the house, they talked, and Don.
Nakazawa freaking
Yeah, they had the
greeted them
servant
like,
Nakazawa.
oh,
And then Don meets with the Bucks in a room in front of this really interesting oil painting.
beautiful
If you
painting,
follow,
beautiful painting.
yeah, if you follow AEW's Instagram, I believe they posted it on the Instagram.
I need a copy if anybody wants to send me a copy.
Yeah. But Don basically comes up to the Bucks and he's like, "Hey, so I know you've invested a lot of time into this friendship with Kenny. So here's some money to
he,
kind of compensate you."
he tries to buy them out.
Yeah, and the Bucks literally like, "We made this last week in merch." Like, and then they make another check and they end up basically backing Don into the corner where the camera is, and the camera kind of goes black as Dawn screams, and
But we get the point of what's going on. They like
exactly,
it was very, very well done.
yeah, like yeah, if you know what was done there, especially with what goes on later in the night.
Exactly.
So
And then we have Pretty Peter Avalon versus Cody. The
and
prelude of Cody's music was cut like 2 seconds after it started, and
and he still comes out to Snoop's version of Kingdom.
like, don't get me wrong, I don't like hate it, but the thing is, when you've got Cody it's like that music was so heavy and so going, and he comes out and he tries to pump up the fans and that, and when he comes out and then it goes into Snoop's rap, it's like
Yeah.
uh
Well, literally, as he comes out to the word adrenaline. Like, and you get the feel of him just that's going through his veins. Like, everybody's just now feeling adrenaline because that's the he pops out of the smoke to that. Like, it's just, I don't know. Without the prelude and the wrestling has more than one royal family, it just doesn't feel like a Cody entrance anymore.
it doesn't. But hopefully, once we're a while into the Go Big Show and that, maybe they'll make the switch back.
Well, I don't think it's actually officially out yet because they keep saying a special airing of the Go Big Show.
They've aired 2 or 3 episodes, I believe.
Okay, so then yeah, because I'm not 100% sure what is going on then.
I'm
I
pretty
guess
sure
they
they're running like encore specials and that just to try and promote it or something like that.
after Dynamite.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and they purposefully Excalibur purposefully mispronounces what did he call him last week? Jericho called him Bruce Kreischer.
Oh yeah, and
Uh
Burt Kreischer.
Burt Kreischer, and I don't even know what Excalibur said this week, but he did it again, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a thing now.
Well, yeah, especially with when Kreischer talked about it on the
His
podcast he was on.
podcast,
Like,
yeah.
it was great.
But
Uh, but it we had Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill came out after
Yeah,
Cody
trying to find her.
basically ripped Avalon into his finisher, and then um just kind of stood there. Match continued.
And then she leaves, like,
It was a
and then the match
decent
just goes on.
match. I was impressed with Peter Avalon's skill. A lot of people don't realize the kind of skill Peter Avalon actually has because he was introduced to a worldwide audience as the librarian.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
indie titles left and right.
Well, and it seems like they're moving him into a more prominent position. Maybe still gonna be a upper to mid card wrestler, but he's going in the upward direction.
Yeah, and then Cody wins by submission because Peter didn't want to get slapped in the face, which
Because he's pretty.
that's just it. I was like,
Oh
because
my
when it
god, I
first
just
was
realized what
called,
this joke is. I just realized what the joke is. It's Cody's gorgeous gimmick. Or dashing gimmick.
it's similar, isn't it? Yeah, it's
Well,
very.
no, because Cody tapped out of a match because somebody was going to punch him in the face. I just realized that's what they're doing.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, he did the Pretty Peter gimmick on the Indies, but that exact bit right there was totally a matter of like kind of
Because
just
I
like a code.
remember
Remember?
I remember Cody like that if that's burnt in my mind, he was gonna get slapped and he just taps out. I'm like, but I could be wrong.
Um but yeah, so Cody won. We had FTR and Jurassic Express in a backstage segment, and we basically get Jungle Boy and Dax next week. Which it's going to be a very decent match.
Yeah, for sure. That and Luchasaurus is gonna be at ringside this time.
Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out.
Like,
Maybe he'll show up and disappear again. Who knows?
yeah.
But and then we have John Moxley versus Nick Camarado.
Yeah,
Um,
this another big
big
dude who
freaking
I had no
guy.
idea. Like,
Big freaking guy.
I mentioned to you as soon as I saw this guy, it's like Vince's reaction when he sees this guy, and it's the gif of him falling back. Like, it's just that's exactly what it is. Like, that you picture Vince's perfect wrestler. That's Nick.
Oh,
Like,
big guy and quite decent in the ring from what we were able to see. But
yeah, it was a quick match, but it was a good match.
Mox picks up the win via a sleeper. Basically, it was like a modification on his like bulldog choke or whatever. And then we get
Yeah,
just a bit of a promo from him. basically calling out anybody and anybody.
And
Anybody and
my
everybody.
yeah,
Holy shit.
my gist of it is that when he talked about Kenny, he's gonna get his title back. He's gonna try for getting his rematch and whatever. And I think he's gonna try his rematch, and it's not gonna work. I think he's gonna lose. I think we're
It
gonna see about a year or so until we see Moxley back in the world title picture.
more than likely. More than likely. Um and then we get a backstage promo with Eddie Kingston and his family. And we basically get Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston set up for next week. Um Kenny arrives at Dynamite. Don is all bruised up. Obviously, alluding to the bit with the Bucks.
Yeah, and the bit there, the bruise is on one side. So if it were a super kick from both the Bucks, wouldn't it be on both sides?
I don't know. Like that's the thing. It's one of those things where I think they're really pushing into that long term storytelling and waiting to see what they can do with it, because it's gonna end up being one of them hit him, and then that one,
Or
it's
my thinking is it's Dawn put on makeup and he's pretending that one of the Bucks hit him, so that way Kenny, because I think
because he knows
Dawn
how
doesn't like the Bucks. I don't think he likes the Bucks.
Oh, he doesn't. He wants the Bucks out of the picture. He wants Kenny
Yeah.
to himself. He wants to be able to propel Kenny to the top.
And he
Um,
likes the Good Brothers because they're people who can protect Kenny. They're big guys. The Young Bucks, they're small. Why does he need the Bucks? He doesn't need the Bucks.
yeah. Um,
But
but
yeah,
it's gonna be super interesting to see where it goes.
yeah.
We get Matt Sydal and Top Flight versus Hardy Party, Matt Hardy, Private Party.
Yep.
Which ends up once again. I mean, these matches, we had decent wrestling most of the week.
Yeah, it was an insane week for wrestling.
Good match though. Matt Hardy and Private Party win. In I was surprised with the finish. With the chair,
I was a bit surprised, but the storytelling has
it
been
makes
going that way.
sense, but it's still, because as much as they were doing, they were starting to push towards it with like the Jerry Lynn bit on Impact and that, them to just full on be like, yeah, we're gonna win. I was like, wow.
Okay, I see your point there, but it was mainly Cassidy because if Cassidy hits the chair and then Quinn looks at him and he's like, is that what we're doing? And then they kind of both exchange a smile. It's like, no, this is what Matt wants us to do. This is what he would want us to do. And so I think it was Cassidy doing it kind of out of, well, what would Matt want me to do? And now they're gonna start acting more on a whole out of what Matt would want them to do.
Yeah. But
It's a good
yeah,
match.
a good match. Backstage segment with the Inner Circle.
Yep. Well, some of the inner circle,
Well,
I guess.
yeah, but just
And
a
just
quick little
basically,
segment.
yeah. MJF just says, I want to be everybody's friend. I don't hate anybody. Why would I hate anybody? Because you are a bad person. Exhibit Cody.
But yeah, just the continued storytelling of that whole bit. And then we get legit Layla Hirsch versus Penelope Ford with Miro, Kip Sabian, and Charles Taylor.
Carls.
Charles Taylor. Um, this was originally supposed to be Layla Hirsch versus Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose was in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID and is quarantining. So best wishes out to Nyla. That, you know, hopefully negative test in general. But
Yeah.
we ended up getting Penelope in the match. And Penelope picks up the win. Kip ends up holding Layla's foot down. And then we get Miro telling Charles Taylor to say that they're best friends now with Orange Cassidy in the crowd. Broke
Yep.
my heart a little bit. But
Because Orange walks away all sad. He just gets up and he's like, oh, okay. I'll
but
be alone now.
And then we cut to Omega and the Good Brothers beating down on Pentagon in the back.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising. I'm wondering what's going to go on there. Maybe they're going to do something with Pac and Death Triangle. But well, they'd have to, I guess, now that they've dealt with Pentagon. There's no way to go around that. The way Pac has been, they'll have to deal with them too now.
Well, we have Good Brothers and Omega versus Mox and the Lucha Bros announced for, I think it was Beach Break. It was announced for.
I want to say Beach Break, yeah.
So,
is Beach Break a part 1 and 2 event, or is it
no,
just
I
a
think
one?
it's just a one night. I
Okay.
think it's the first one in February.
Yeah.
But
And then
main event.
actually, before that, we had the number 1 contenders tournament announced for the AEW Championship, Women's Championship.
Oh, the Eliminator tournament, similar to what they
Yeah.
did for Kenny to pick up the victory in that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So that'll be interesting.
I think they said it was the world tournament, meaning they're gonna like invite people. Like they didn't reveal the card. They didn't reveal any of the matches.
From what I was reading, they're expecting Riho to be back. She parted ways with Stardom. And so I believe they're trying to get her back over with all the quarantining and whatnot.
Okay,
It's
that's
taking
good.
a while, but I know like somebody like Riho is, from the sounds of it, supposed to be in the tournament.
Well, I
Hopefully
hope.
it bodes well. Hopefully like it pushes the women that division a little more. And
Well,
I
yeah,
expect debuts out of it. I expect debuts to come out of it.
that's what I mean. I think there's some signings that have been hidden and that haven't been able to debut because of COVID, and they're about to come out and they're about to rock it. Like, and I think this year 2021 is going to be the year for the women's division in AEW, because if it isn't, that division is going to start looking not on the same lines as the Divas division when it was in WWE at that point, but story-wise they'll have no direction similar to that.
They need to really pump it up. So here's hoping. But yes, into the main event, MJF and Jericho versus Proud and Powerful versus Sammy Hager, which we actually get a little bit of a I laughed. Sammy
Yeah,
Hagar
when yeah.
comes onto the screen and basically uh
My new
says,
favorite tag team.
yeah, Sammy Hager. So I got a chuckle out of that.
And this match went right until TV time remaining.
Literally TV time. I like the remix of MJF and Jericho's theme that they kind of did there.
Yeah.
It was neat. Really good match. I literally, one of my notes here is Hager fucking lays out Jericho.
Yeah.
Mid match,
Uh
like
yeah, so
he grabbed Floyd, right?
yeah, he grabs the bat. Yeah. And Jericho's about to swing, and then Hager just puts up the boot, and Jericho just flies. And then right after that, MJF grabs the ring and goes and just catches a right from Hager. Like,
It
yeah,
was
it was just the best. It was, and I mean, Hager being that type of person where he's like, no, this is a match. We're not doing this no DQ way. Like, that was perfect, because I think if when Inner Circle eventually splits off, we're gonna see a couple of tag teams kind of remain, and I wouldn't mind seeing Sammy and Hager be a thing.
it wouldn't be bad. And then we were talking earlier about botches. Jericho, uh,
Yeah, unfortunately,
surprisingly, the second he jumped up for the lion salt, I was like, and
he didn't get enough spring off of it.
he
Like,
barely even got the ropes how he needed to. So like the thing is once again, it's a mistake that happens. Like he's been performing that move for 30 years.
he's
Like,
almost killed himself at least once on that move before, because on WCW, you can hear him audibly screaming.
yeah.
Like,
So I'm just glad he came out of it okay. But we ended up running
yeah,
right up to TV time. Because even JR was like, "What's the time limit on this match?" And they're like, "TV time remaining." And JR's like, "Well, we got 1 minute." And I'm like, "Oh." So
Well, yeah, because like for me, I have my two monitors, so when I'm watching, I'll glance over to my time, and I'm like, we're getting there, like.
but we ended up having MJF and Jericho win, and a fun little just quick note that excuse me, that I want to put out before we continue into NXT here. With them running right to TV time, I mentioned it last week. I've been watching the AEW Unrestricteds, and there was one with the Bucks, one of the very first ones. I believe it was with the Bucks, and they were talking about the match on the first ever Dynamite with Jericho, and they they were like, Jericho has the experience with live TV. We don't. We're not used to like the timing and stuff like that. And they were like, he is crazy because like Aubrey was saying like I'd be getting like the timing in my ear from TK backstage, and like we'd have like 2 minutes left and I'd be like panicking, and Jericho would just be cool as a cucumber, like he knows what he's doing. He's got this. While everybody else is panicking, like we've got to make time. Jericho's like, I got this. And that's one of those examples of like they're like, I don't even know who was reffing it, but I'm sure they're like, we
I
got
think it was
30 seconds,
Aubrey
and
or Audrey.
Jericho's just like, we got it. I'm like,
Well, because how many times, honestly, if Jericho's the guy I think he is, he's got a mental clock in his head. He goes out, he asked how long he needs for this match before he goes out the
yeah,
curtain,
like your
and
match is 8 minutes. Okay.
he goes, okay, I got 8 minutes in my head. Like,
Like, but that was just a fun little side note from AEW Unrestricted, which if you want a good listen, it's hosted by Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards. It's very good. You can find it
yeah,
on podcast platforms, as well as they have a video format on their YouTube. So if you're a fan of AEW, definitely watch it. Not sponsored. Wish it was. Anyways,
I mean, you can find us there too.
yeah, you can
Some of
find
them.
us on those platforms as well. Hey, good one. Um, but let's move on to NXT here.
Yeah,
Good
and right
show.
as NXT started, welcome back Beth Phoenix to the announce desk.
Yes,
It We literally talked about this in the last
it
show,
was
how it's
so
a bit
weird.
awkward, and she
So
comes back and it just flows so much better. I love Beth on commentary. She's not the best, she's not the worst. Like she's
though
just it's just
my one issue, which I mean I can understand, but she she's really good on commentary. Her calls are great, but the one thing I've noticed is she like yells through all of commentary. Like she yells her calls,
yeah, a little
and
bit.
so I'm just like, take it back. I like, it's not an easy job. I understand that. So, and I mean, as she was a competitor in that, you got that adrenaline pumping in that. You're probably just ready to go. But it was nice to have her, irregardless.
Absolutely, yeah.
Uh,
And then I mean NXT jumped right into
right into it.
Dusty Rhodes tag match round one with Kushida and Leon Ruff versus The Way, Johnny Gargano, and Austin Theory. Like, and this match, it's exactly what you would expect to start out with those names being on that list. Like, it is just move, 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 move,
It
move.
was
Like,
good. It was good. Um, and I mean the pin at the end, very unique pin to win from Kushida and Leon Ruff picking up the win there.
yeah,
Surprisingly, but this tournament has surprised quite a bit so far and continues to through the night. Um, we get a promo Pete Dunne basically saying it's inevitable. Him and Balor, it's inevitable. Which very
yeah,
much
no.
so it is. It
And I
is.
mean, he even mentions like, our like the trajectories and whatever.
We
Like,
were cut from the same cloth. Like
yeah,
you're not the
like,
only one of your kind.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Um,
yeah, it was just beautiful,
and
and it's
then,
great storytelling too.
oh,
Like,
fantastic. Uh,
backstage we had Malcolm Bivens talking, just outside of William Regal's office, and Tyler Rust comes out and he's like, "Hey, I got the match made," and he goes, "Well, who did you get?" And he gets Bronson Reed. And
yeah,
if you've not seen that name, you hear that name and you go, "Oh, that sounds like a big guy."
and he is.
Like,
But yeah, I like I've seen photos and that of Bronson Reed before, so when he said the name, I immediately was like, oh, good luck.
Bronson's gonna kill
Which
you.
I think he might have, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Up next we have Karrion Kross with Scarlett
What was
versus.
on Scarlett's head?
It's like a Medusa thing. It's like
Is
like the Medusa snakes.
okay. Didn't
Uh,
work.
but that entrance is cool. I like
It
that.
is.
I like the way they're building up Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I mean
And it's not
both
Bordeaux anymore, right? Or
just
Boudoir, however.
it's just Scarlett. Because when
Yeah.
I was writing down my results, I went to put her last name and
Me
I
too.
went, I don't think they use it. And then I had to rewind it because I watched it after Dynamite. I watched Dynamite live.
Yeah.
And I had to watch the nameplate to see.
Yeah.
But
To make
against
sure. And that was
sorry.
Shanti Adonis.
Yep. With Desmond Troy on the outside, basically squash. Cross wins and then attacks Desmond Troy afterwards.
Yeah.
We have a vignette almost for MSK.
Yeah, they're just talking about like how they're gonna win the whole thing, and they probably will. The only team that could possibly beat them is Grizzled Young Vets.
Yeah, it'll be I mean, it's a tournament to watch to say the least. Has
Well,
been
actually, you
every
know what?
time.
And we say like these are the teams that could like we say that like
We'll be
this
saying
term.
that for a while. Like this team could win
Yeah,
and then
we don't know who's gonna win.
I
There's
wish.
no idea. Like,
But
yeah, no, we get the inside scoop. WWE comes to us to confirm. Yeah, like
oh jeez. But up next we have Imperium versus Lucha House Party.
yeah,
Um which I was surprised Lucha House Party picking up the win. Like
yeah,
I
yeah. Like I thought they were done. As soon as I saw who they were going against,
yeah,
it being Imperium, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is just going to be an easy match. We're going to show Imperium being strong, and then they can lose to MSK, showing MSK being because I think that's where the bracket goes. I think
I
that's
think
decided.
so.
So I was like, oh, okay, this is going to show a good match to build to MSK, and then just no.
But
Which
and
I
then
mean, this is going to be a flipping crazy match against MSK now.
oh, will be for
Like,
sure. And then we have Alexander Wolf come out on the stage and do the Imperium salute, which was kind of neat.
yeah,
Just a quick weigh-in segment for the fight pit.
yeah.
And then I'll let you take this one.
So we had Beth Phoenix. She's on the stage, and I think William Regal hands her the mic,
Yep,
and they announce the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and the first match is Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter versus Tony Storm and Mercedes Martinez. And wouldn't you know, I called it. They won. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, they win this match with the craziest move by Casey. She doesn't even know what to call it. Like,
they only won because they were setting up for Io Shirai, and
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. They're going to win the whole tournament.
yeah, we'll see. Anyways,
Calling it.
but yeah, so crazy finisher. I don't even know what to like.
Yeah, it's okay. So my interpretation of this finisher
It was
is
like a
it's
mix of a Phoenix Splash and ricochets and
yeah, and
this
so
and that and
so it's like how Ricochet sets up for his finisher, but in reverse, and then she does the move backwards too.
it,
Like,
yeah,
like,
it was interesting, but
like
yeah,
and it just was perfect. And I mean, unfortunately for Tony Storm, she doesn't get to move on because I love her too,
Tony
but
Storm's very good. Yes.
she is. But Casey has him every time she comes into the ring, she does something that just gets on highlight reels. And I'm sorry
Yeah.
because I know you're getting annoyed with me talking
Oh,
about
I'm
it.
not getting annoyed. I'm having a blast here. Casey's
But
boy over here.
shut up.
Oh,
She's
jeez.
good. I loved watching her. I watched
Ugh.
her be the first woman to ever go up the warped wall in American Ninja Warrior, and ever since then, she's just amazing. Like,
Hey, she is. She's talented. I'm not taking away from that any.
yeah. So I
But
am on the Casey train. Send her to the main roster. Have her beat Asuka. Have her beat them all. Like,
wow, okay, that escalated. So then we move on to Finn Balor telling Regal he wants done. Uh, but he says he's taking out his I guess we shouldn't call them lackeys because they're kind of champs, but
yeah,
Lorcan and
the
Birch.
yeah.
And then Regal tells him to get a partner.
And Finn's just like, well, I don't have any friends.
Yeah, I have
I don't do
enemies.
that anymore.
I have
Like,
enemies, and as Regal says, keep your enemies closer. So,
yep.
and then we get Bronson Reed versus Tyler Rust. And during the match, we get a quick little snippet of Io Shirai and Tony Storm fighting in the backstage.
Yep.
But with a splash that I would not be comfortable taking. Bronson Reed picks up the win. Um, I saw him climb up to that top rope, and I was just like, no.
Ruh-roh. Is Bronson Reed, he's not Jeff Cobb, is he?
No.
No, I was gonna
Jeff
say
Cobb is back in Japan.
I thought for some reason they were the same person, but they're not.
No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
And then we get Balor going to the Undisputed Era, and that's a whole bit there. But O'Reilly
Yeah,
basically agrees to partner with him.
pretty much. Yeah. Like, although I like it, initially when he asks him, he just grunts and as if like his mouth is wired shut, basically.
Yeah.
And then he just goes on and talks anyways. I was like, all right.
But and then we have the I guess it's NXT Cruiserweight champ now. I guess it's not WWE anymore. I always
Yeah.
forget there. Santos Escobar promo.
He's the champion's champion. He's the belt. It's the cruiserweight title. It's never been anything.
Yeah.
Like, no
Chill out.
offense to the cruiserweight title, it's not a
May-
title people want to win.
Maybe I'm
Like,
not watching the right things. Maybe I'm not. But yeah,
maybe,
it's not
yeah.
to me it's not like the
Like
number
when
one thing.
TJP won it, I was like, oh, they're gonna do something cool with the cruiserweight division. And then they gave it to Enzo, and I stopped watching.
Well, when they had it on at that time, Neville, I was like, okay, cool. And then yeah, they did the whole Enzo bit. But anyways, um, so Lucha House Party comes out, they get taken out, and then Kurt Stallion, I guess, who is a standout from 205, is what they said,
Yeah, I was like, all right, this guy, yeah,
makes a
okay.
save.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's got a I don't yeah, he'll have a match against Escobar for the title next week.
yep. Killian Dane and Drake Maverick backstage. I got a chuckle out of it. I mean, Maverick makes me chuckle the way he is. Hey, I need your number. Um,
Yeah.
so, but basically just talking about tournament and whatnot, and then we get into the fight pit. Uh,
We could just call it the fight if you wanted to.
Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Which I totally forgot that this was based off of the Lions Den match. I totally forgot about the Lions Den matches back in the late 90s
Oh
with
yeah.
Ken Shamrock. Yeah, I completely forgot. They mentioned it on commentary, and I'm going, the Lion's Den, and I search it up, and I'm like, oh shit, the Lion's Den. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about these.
You mentioned commentary there. At one point, as the match is starting, Wade Barrett goes, yeah, there's not even barricades to protect these men from falling to the floor on the outside. And then as they're like fighting, Champa literally throws Thatcher into the barricades on the top so they don't fly.
One line I really liked from Barrett was, I've never in my career had anybody that I've, had as big of an issue with that I'd want to fight them in this match. And I'm like, fair. But,
I thought quickly for a moment about when Cena dropped a string of chairs on top of him. Like, you really didn't want to punch him in the face then?
oh yeah, geez, TLC, wow. Um, but yeah, fantastic match. Timothy Thatcher wins. I didn't expect the win to come when it did, but it was. Tommaso
Oh,
got his leg trapped in the corner. And ended up tapping. Like
but no man in this match came out a loser.
no.
There like there's some matches where like, oh yeah, there's the winner and there's the loser, but this was an even match. Like they both kicked ass. The one thing I'll say with NXT doing picture in picture, they went to picture in picture and then they fell into the pit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So for anybody who might not pay attention during picture in picture, uses it as a commercial break to like take a piss or go grab a
Which I've
drink
done in
or
the
whatever.
past.
It's a thing because that's what we do. That's why we have commercials in things to go do things quickly if we need to. It annoyed me because sometimes I don't pay attention during the picture in picture to
I
what's
had to
going on in the
rewind.
match.
I had to
Yeah,
rewind. Like I was
yeah,
focused, but it went to picture in picture, and I was like, I've got like 10 seconds to turn and do this and then get back to it. And when I turned back, because like I wanted to watch the match. When it's a match that
yeah,
I want to
exactly.
watch, I watch the picture in picture.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I was like, I've got 10 seconds. I'm not going to miss anything. And I turned back and I went, oh, they're in it now.
Yeah. And I was like, I wasn't mad about it, but I was just like, and they never showed a replay of them going into the pit,
Because
like
it
at
was
all,
picture in
ever.
picture.
They
They,
were just like, yeah, it's just done. Like, I was just
so,
like, whatever.
but, really good show. And, we'll move on to SmackDown here and probably be able to fly through that. We are,
I got nothing nice to say about SmackDown.
we're pushing it here. So, yeah, we open it up. Roman Reigns.
7 minutes later.
Uh, yeah, um, like I don't even feel like sitting on this segment that long. Adam Pearce comes out and we get Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce
Yeah,
in like the main event
because we
because
finally give Paul the mic, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to make a match. Yeah, because that's what we wanted Paul to do.
Sami Zayn comes out, handcuffs himself to the barricade, and basically becomes the living Bernie Sanders meme, which I got a chuckle out of. But
Yeah.
uh and then talking about we were talking earlier, where the hell is Asuka's tag team partner? Well, Charlotte Flair and Asuka against Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott.
And
Um
so on SmackDown, we're just going to pretend the tag champions have nothing to do with each other. Then, or sorry, on
on
SmackDown
Raw.
they are. Yeah, on Raw they have nothing to do with each other. SmackDown, they're friends, they're best friends. They're always hanging out with each other. They come to the ring together.
But yeah, all the shit there, Billy Kay, whatnot. Charlotte Asuka win, and then the Riot Squad
Yeah,
kicks Billy out.
I don't think she was ever in the Riot Squad. I think that was in her own brain.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why they're doing any of it, but
Then we
um,
had Daniel Bryan come out and explain why the Rumble's the best thing ever, and it is, and he gets interrupted by Cesaro, and
who I'm
basically
glad is
just
finally getting TV time. Can I say
yeah,
both of them.
yeah, and then Cesaro challenges to anybody but Bryan, and Ziggler comes out.
I don't know how Ziggler. He's been around so long and with the same kind of gimmick for so long. I forget about him. Not gonna lie.
I do too, and he's the SmackDown Tag Champion with Robert Roode.
Which I completely forgot about. I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
That
"Oh
was last
yeah,
week.
yeah," and that's how much I don't care. Um,
But the thing is, that was last week, right? Or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks
But
ago. Yeah.
anyway, and where was Rude? Anyway,
Anyways,
moving on.
Cesaro wins. And then we get Sasha Banks versus Reginald Carmella's what's the word I'm
I
looking
have a
for here?
question. Did you notice what was wrong with Sasha's title?
I wasn't really paying attention. That 8K camera really worked on her entrance. Anyways.
This was after the 8K camera.
Okay, no, I wasn't. No.
She didn't have her side plates. It was the WWE logos
What
on the
is
side.
with this?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, Sasha Banks versus Carmella's what is it, Sommelier or whatever.
Mhm.
Reginald.
Yeah,
Like I said, that 8K camera really popped on her entrance. Don't mean to stick on that, but it worked.
I like it, but it was really jarring the first time I ever saw
it
that
it
camera.
it fucked me up the first time I
I was
saw
like,
it.
"Whoa,
I
what
was
are we doing
surprised
here?"
how much Sami Zayn stuck out when like they were passing by him during that entrance. Like
Hmm.
that camera is just fantastic. But it was a match. It was the most they'll do for an intergender, I guess, and Sasha won it.
Did you see Cole yawn when they went for when Reginald got thrown to the outside?
I didn't, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, so Reginald gets sent to the outside, and you see Cole go, and Reginald sent to the outside.
Wow. But yeah, Sasha picked up the win there as expected.
Yeah, just to prove that it's not just us that doesn't like SmackDown. Even their main commentator doesn't.
We get a backstage segment with Reigns, and he basically tells Heyman he screwed up and to fix it.
Mhm.
Big
And then
E
we get
versus Apollo for the title, IC title, Intercontinental. Yep.
yeah,
Which it went exactly how I expected. Sami Zayn took his handcuffs off and messed up the match.
and it's gonna be a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble probably.
That's exactly where they're gonna go with it this week.
And that's how Apollo will get the title because he'll pin Sammy.
Instead of
That way
E,
keeps
and
E not as a exactly.
that's fine. Let E go into the Rumble afterwards and show off. Then he needs a push. He is
Could you
fantastic and
imagine
needs a
Big E
push.
winning the Rumble after losing the Intercontinental
I have
title?
no issue. I have no issue with that. None.
WWE, please be listening.
But we get a message over his phone from Kevin Owens basically saying Reigns somehow made it so he couldn't come in the building tonight.
Because
I just
he's the
shook my
champion, and
head.
he probably went up to somebody. I'm the tribal chief, and you're just not gonna let Kevin Owens in the arena tonight.
Yeah. We got a backstage segment with the Street Profits talking to Sonya Deville, trying to get title match.
And she's like, "No, you're not 100%. You're still hurt. When you're
Uh,
not hurt, we
and
can talk about it."
I have an issue whenever they mention a title. Like, why do they have to say the whole goddamn name? Montez Ford was the WWE SmackDown World Tag Team Championships. I'm like, bro, you could have just said the tag titles. Like, we all know. Like,
Oh,
don't.
because they're different than the Raw Tag Championships. I
But
mean, they
like,
need to
why do they have to say the whole freaking name? I'm like,
do what I
dude.
just did and say the SmackDown Tag Championships.
But it was
Like,
just the fact that he had to, like, because that's how they scripted him out. Like, I just.
yeah, he's reading a script and he's doing his job and he's doing a good job of it, but I'd prefer it if we just didn't.
And then we get the best segment ever, the obstacle course, which I don't even really want to talk about, between Bianca Belair and Bayley.
It
It felt like watching the original NXT again when they stopped giving a shit. Like the
it
rookies
really did.
and pros NXT, not like current day
The
NXT.
only kind of funny thing I enjoyed about it was Bailey switching this course out
I was
after.
impressed with Belair carrying Otis. Holy crap.
I was impressed with it, especially considering how most times when that happens, they kind of fall over the line at the end of
And
it, and she just
she
sets him
just
down.
that was interesting, but obviously
I
Belair,
still don't like her.
no.
I'm just gonna say that. Like,
But Belair beats Bayley as expected, and then Bayley attacks her.
yeah, and then we get Ray and Dominic talking backstage, and I thought they were on Raw.
I keep forgetting they're here. Hey, you remember the eye for an eye match at Extreme Rules?
Where's Ray? Ray has two eyes.
Anyways, we get Dominic and King Corbin. We all knew Corbin was gonna win because of the promo backstage prior
Yeah.
to.
Oh, well, if we do it your way, it's fine. But if it doesn't work out, we're gonna do it my way. All right.
It's
All
just
right.
one of those
Person who hasn't
things.
been wrestling for 30 years.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, why do you guys do this? Why? But
Like, no offense to Dominic at all here, but you have your dad, who is probably one of the best wrestlers ever to
he
lace
sits
up a
on
pair
one
of
of them.
boots.
He sits on one of the Mount Rushmores of wrestlers,
For,
without a doubt.
exactly. And you look at him and go, no, I got my own plan. I'm sorry, Dom. Come on. Like,
but Corbin wins, and then we're supposed to get Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman.
Keyword supposed to.
Heyman slips on the steps coming up. Card subject to change. Reigns comes out. I'm actually surprised they gave Pierce.
I thought it was going to be Uso.
I thought it was too. But
I
Reigns
had it
comes
written in my
out.
notes already. Once I saw Heyman trip, I was like, "Oh, Jey Uso comes out."
I started to type it myself, and then Reigns came out, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I was surprised they gave Pierce a little bit of offense.
Yeah.
They start fighting out to the stands. Obviously, Reigns was setting up to do what he did to Owens. And then Owens comes out, attacks Reigns. And the show ends up ending with Reigns getting power bombed.
Through the announce table.
The announce table.
Yeah.
So it was.
It was a good week of wrestling. I'm not gonna talk about SmackDown anymore. We're done with SmackDown. SmackDown's done. We're gonna move on. It was a good week of wrestling. So do you want to do the wrestler of the week next, or what do you want to do?
I figured we'll run through our show ratings here.
Oh right, we got to do the ratings. Right, that's right. I'm sorry.
You're pushing it. Come on.
I am. I'm rushing.
Well, we are running short on time here, so.
Oh, I'd say we're probably close to 10 minutes to being done. Honestly, this probably won't take much longer.
But yeah, we got our ratings. Raw I gave 2.25 out of 5.
I gave it a 2.5. I mean, you could argue that that's basically the same rating you gave it because
I'm not impressed with it, to say the least. Impact Wrestling.
It was a good show.
I gave it a 3.25 out of 5.
Me too.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a solid show. There was a couple spots that just didn't work, but yeah.
And I gave the same to Dynamite. I gave it a 3.25. I figured they were really on par this week.
I gave Dynamite a 3.75 this week. Just I liked the triple threat match. There was just certain things I just liked a bit better on a whole than Impact, but as an actual quality. And my main thing, it bothered me with Impact 4 matches, one of which only being in the first hour. That was another thing.
You telling me that now, I was like,
that was another reason why I knocked it down.
But speaking of 3.75s, that's what I gave NXT. I was hella impressed.
I gave NXT a 4. There was not a match that bothered me really. Like there were matches that I was just like, I mean, but like there wasn't a single match that I hated.
No, that's fair. And then SmackDown, what'd you give?
2.5.
Gave it a 4. Hear me out. The look on your face. No, I gave it a 2.5. Don't worry. I'm no dumbass here.
I was like, that SmackDown was the most predictable SmackDown I've ever seen. Like,
yeah, it really
as
was.
soon as you could see, as soon as something happened, it's like, oh, that's because of this.
Like, yeah, 100%. Oh, jeez. So, match of the week. What do you give? I would assume we might have the same one, but.
Oh, you're gonna hate me.
Oh, never mind. What?
It's Casey Catanzaro's match. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. And it's not even just because of the spot. It was because it was a good match.
So I let all of our listeners know that anytime there's a Casey match, just expect it to be Blake's match of the week. Even if it's a garbage fest, just expect it to be match of the week.
No, that is not the case. But I was genuinely impressed by this match. Like, I actually was, and by her specifically. Like, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, I give it to the Fight Pit.
I was gonna give it to the Fight Pit, but I figured you were gonna give it to the Fight Pit, so I was like, okay, I'll pick something else, so that way we don't have two of the exact same.
Oh, but Fight Pit was
because that was definitely the best match of the week. 100%.
Easily.
100%. But my favorite match, which is what our match of the week is, was that.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's move on to segment of the week. So I don't believe we ran segment of the week last week. Basically segment of the week. It gives us the opportunity to do anything, whether it was a match, we can do another match, or promos or anything like that. That's basically what we allow segment of the week for. What do you give?
Mine went to the dirt sheet.
That's completely fair. That's completely fair. The dirt sheet was really good. I actually gave mine to the segment during Dynamite where the Bucks were at Kenny's place. I like the way the story is going, and I didn't expect it. I should have, like, after watching it, I was like, makes sense. But I didn't expect it to take the turn it did. Like, I knew when they showed up, Kenny wasn't going to be there. I knew it was going to be Callis. And then him trying to buy them out, I was like, okay. And then it ending with them seemingly attacking Callis. I was like, the setup, it leaves you, it's one of those things where wrestling a lot of the time doesn't always leave you wanting more. Sometimes you see a segment and you're like, okay, I'm good till next week. That's one of those things where I'm like, I want to know now where you're going with it. And that's why I'm giving it my segment of the week, without a doubt. And then moving on, we'll do wrestler of the week. Who do you give?
Well, mine's going to Casey, and you can yell at me all you want about that, but that move was so fucking impressive. Like, I don't care. You can yell at me all you want about it.
No, you are allowed to pick who you want, whether I agree or not. That goes on to my pick, Roman Reigns.
You can't pick Roman Reigns.
Why?
No, I disagree.
Why can't I?
Because he didn't wrestle.
It doesn't matter whether they wrestled or not.
No, I'm just kidding. If you want
I'm not
Roman
picking
Reigns.
Roman Reigns. I'm not picking Roman Reigns. Goldberg, I don't know. No. I'm giving it to Matt Hardy. I'm giving it to Matt Hardy. Yeah. Because even though, as I said earlier, it's not that I dislike where he's at or what's going. I dislike the trajectory of getting there. I like how over he's getting Private Party. And the fact that I think it's similar to why I gave it to Kenny last week. Pulling that double duty and making it entertaining continually is hard to do. And like when he came out on Impact, and I mean his promo skills, I mean Matt's been in the business long enough, you can tell by his promos, and like I said, I like how they're pulling out the carny bits for him and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's all really nice. I was honestly expecting you to pick somebody from the Fight Pit.
I mean, both guys in the Fight Pit absolutely killed it. But as for, because of Wrestler of the Week just being a generalized kind of idea of like any of the guys involved in the show, I mean, I gave Fight Pit my match of the week, but Wrestler of the Week, I mean, even though he only wrestled the once, Matt Hardy, like, I just... I'm impressed. I am impressed.
Yeah. And honestly, that is my justification for Casey. The two big moves that she pulled out in that match are something that I didn't expect from somebody who, in all fairness, is a really green wrestler.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the nice part about these of the week segments that we do, just as a little insight for any of the listeners there. When we give it our ratings, we're trying to base it off of the actual technicalities of the show, the match to segments, the overall overness that it got, shit like that. Where these of the week, it really just gives us the option now to, because we said it before, we did it last week, even if we give like whatever show gets our highest rating, up next we have show of the week, that might not necessarily be the same thing, because just because one show got a higher rating doesn't mean it was our favorite show. It just means as a whole the show held together better. I
Yeah.
mean, there's been shows in the past where like out of the week there was one show that overall stood out the best, but I liked a different show solely because, you know, this segment was on it or stuff like that.
Like, we could say for Legends Week on Raw, like, that was a really good Raw, and people, because they like Legends, one of us could have picked that as our favorite show of the week, just because we like seeing
It was nice
Jarrett,
to see the legends or something
yeah,
like that. Um,
Hogan, all of them that came out there. I don't know
but
why Hogan and Jarrett are the two that just came to my head for the ones that were there, but they're the
n-
only two I can remember right
no
now.
clue, but sure. But speaking of show of the week, here we are with show of the week. What do you give it to, my dude?
Mine's going to NXT because it absolutely had for my nominations for match of the week, two of them were from NXT.
I
Like,
give it to NXT as well. I to get back into it, like Impact. I'm enjoying Impact, but there's bits and pieces where I'm not into it yet. I'm not there. Where NXT, I was surprised. Even last week, I mean, held my attention
mhm,
like 95% of the time, and this week too. And I mean, with a card so heavy in tag team matches, we once again we talked about it last week. You got to make sure if you're gonna put on the same match type over and over and over and over again, that it continues to be good. And they're
and it has to
still
feel
doing it.
different too. Like, that's the thing. It really has to feel different. And with that, like, with having, I think, what, 4 tag team matches on NXT that last week.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, I don't think a single match had an identical finish.
I don't think so.
Like,
No.
there was the interruption kind of one with the, or not really interruption, but like with the Lucha House Party winning.
Yep.
Like I can't exactly remember how the finish, but I know it wasn't as clean as it could have been. Um, but like, there's just certain things. It's just, yeah, I
But
love, yeah.
it was a good show. Like that's just it. I agree. I mean, it's show
Yeah.
of the week easily.
I don't think that one we have to justify. I think that one was an easy one for us to talk about and say
Oh,
that
easily.
was the favorite show. There's going to be times where one of us will do something and be like, all right, you might need to explain yourself here. Like,
So
but
into our final segment of the show here before our ending off kind of promotion here. Yeah, we got bold predictions. So let's try to stay away from the Rumble as we will be doing a show for the Rumble
yeah,
a week from
absolutely.
today, where we can make a bold prediction for that night. So disregarding the Rumble, what is your bold prediction this week? You got one.
Come back to me and you say yours, and I'm gonna keep thinking here quickly.
So I honestly feel that this week we're going to there's got to be a big jump of build within the Elite Bullet Club storyline. Um I'm not exactly sure where. We have Good Brothers and Young Bucks teaming together for the first time in over 5 years.
Mhm.
Um against I believe it's the Dark Order, Grayson, Uno, Reynolds and Silver this week.
I think so.
Um
Yeah.
I honestly think there's going to be some kind of, because we've seen it before, there's going to be a fuckery of sorts. Because previously we had, it was supposed to be Kenny and the Bucks and we got Kenny and the Good Brothers. Now we've got this, and it's going to be one of those situations where the Bucks do most of the work and the Good Brothers pick up that win. And the prediction that, like, I can't make a full on solid prediction of sorts, but it's going to be, they're going to continue the Callus angle, and I honestly think they're going to do absolutely everything possible to try and turn Kenny against the Bucks.
Yeah.
But this is where I say my prediction's odd, because I'm not going to necessarily predict it specifically this week. It's going to be a long time down the line, but I believe this week is really going to set up um, Kenny's turn on Callus.
to stay with the Bucks.
I bet you it's going to be Callis is going to try everything he can to get Kenny to go, screw those guys. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. And finally, there's going to be that one revealing factor, probably tying back to this previous week of we never hit him. Here's
Mhm.
footage of him putting the makeup on. Here's footage of him manipulating you. And
They
Kenny,
could do a segment with BTE, having Cutler be coming to the house as well, and have him just be off the camera of what
oh
Dynamite
shit, oh
was.
shit, there's Dawn, and Dawn talking to like somebody on the phone or to Nakazawa, being like, I've got him, or
Or no, I'm not even saying that. Like, so the two, you know how there was the camera crew pushed out on that
Mhm.
segment? Cutler could have been in that camera crew and then just snuck back into the area and filmed from a corner, like
Potentially.
with you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be the best storytelling, but as long as there's just like, oh, here's a secret footage of somebody recording in the room of what actually happened.
Yeah, but I believe there's going to be a lot of ups and downs over the months. It's going to show the breaks between Kenny and Callis, but I think this week is going to solidify what route we're going with the match coming up.
Okay.
I think it's really going to prove what route we're going with the Kenny Callis storyline.
Mhm. So my bold prediction for this week is assuming Impact doesn't have a no compete law clause, which I don't think they do. Taya
Uh,
makes her debut
if her
because of what
contract
MSK,
ran out,
which I'm
then she
assuming it
won't.
was.
She won't have a no compete if your contract runs out. It's if you're
Okay.
released and her
Okay.
contract ran out.
Okay. I think then for sure she will be making her debut on whatever promotion it'll be. Like we said, I think it's WWE, but I don't want to pinhole it into one. I think
I wouldn't be
she's gonna make
surprised
her
if it's in
debut.
the Eliminator tournament for
For
Dynamite.
AEW. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that, but wherever she makes her debut, I say it's this week.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Well, that was quite the show. So just one last final kind of promotion of our stuff again. Once again, we have a Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support us financially, as well as a Redbubble, which we should have more designs up throughout this week and more as time goes on. Remember, we stream this live on Twitch. Our schedule is on our Twitch page. We'll be live a lot more this week. So follow us to get notifications there. Follow us on Twitch for notifications, participate in polls after shows, and so much more coming up. As well as, once again, you can listen to us on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify currently. And hopefully within the next week, we will be available on Apple Podcasts and more. But thank you, everybody, for tuning into this week's edition of Walking the Ropes. And thankfully, it's not going to be a week until we talk to you guys again. It'll be Tuesday. Tuesday at, I would assume, 1 o'clock is our normal start time, unless for some ungodly reason something happens as we have
Yeah.
lives lives we kind of have lives.
Just keep to our Twitter feeds to stay up to date on stuff like that for any time changes on potential starting date times for streams and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they should stay on those dates. Just the time might
The
vary
time
sometimes.
might vary sometimes, but we'll always post on our days what time we're going live. Generally, if it's at 1 o'clock, we'll generally post probably around 11 or noon.
Yep.
Um, but we'll make sure to post if anything were to change. But yeah, good show, good wrestling. This week leading up to the Rumble is going to be really interesting, and I look forward to discussing it.
Yeah, it's going to be a really awesome show. The Rumble is probably without a doubt my favorite pay-per-view of the year
Oh, easily.
because you never know what's going to happen. And this year, with it being a cinematic, possibly match, which it could very well be, who knows what we're going to get.
That's
Like,
just it. We have no clue this year, like what to expect. We haven't for a year known what
well,
to
because
expect week to week. So
this time last year, it was Edge's return. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, Edge might return." There's some rumblings that he posted some gear pictures. Oh, this, that, and the other, and then he debuted. I think he was number 28. Oh, and speaking of 28, Cena on his Instagram just posted a picture of a watch with just the number 28.
CM Punk uh answer posted something with the number 13, which I think 13, which is the most unlucky number. Oh, somebody asked him, what are your chances of returning to the Rumble this year? And his reply was 13, which is the
Yeah.
unluckiest number in the Royal Rumble match. So that's just it. It's one of those things where it's like, we've got to watch and see.
There's so many things, and I mean, like, it's just so cool. Like I mentioned with Cena posting that thing, like he's done his filming for Suicide Squad and Fast 9 and all that. All that's on wrap. Like, so he's not currently filming to anybody, to my knowledge, at the very least. So he
Yeah.
could be in Florida right now. I think that's where they're recording.
Oh, more than likely.
I think that's where the Tropicana field is.
Tropicana, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's somewhere in Florida. Um, yeah, I think that'd be an interesting. It's just the Rumble is always one to look out for.
Oh, it is. It is without a doubt. But we will be able to talk that come the Rumble on Sunday and our
Yeah,
review show afterwards. But until then, thank you everybody for watching this edition of Walking the Ropes, and we will see you Tuesday for the Raw recap edition. So take care and thank you.
have a good one.